Hi, welcome back guys. This is your friend, Fanfics, back with amazing fanfiction. This is the series of What If Deku Becomes Hacker. Now before starting, please give this video a like and subscribe to the channel if you want more videos like this. Now let's get into the fanfic. 11-year-old Izuku stood as still as he could as the man in front of him rambled. He could barely hear the garbage he was spouting about no heroes coming to save him over the pounding in his chest. Thankfully, or maybe not, the thump of footsteps makes both of them pause for a moment. They both turn to see a hero walking past the alley entrance. "Help, there's a guy trying to mug me," Midoriya shouted in a desperate attempt at not getting injured. The man started to shake in fear and ran off, tipping over trash cans as he ran from the scene. Izuku took his hint and ran as well, to where he last saw the hero, only stopping to catch his breath. As soon as he could breathe again, he grabbed the hero's arm. Not a great idea. He did have flames rippling over him and started bowing. Endeavor turned to look at him with distaste in his eyes. "Mr. Endeavor, sir, there was a man and there was a knife and he was asking for my money and he got away. But I lost what I had on me, and I really needed that money to get groceries for my mom. Please help me, sir." He added on the sir as an afterthought. However, it didn't do much good, for the tall hero turned around and continued to walk. Izuku stared at him, confused, as the flame hero walked away. Seeing the departing figure, Midoriya tried again, a little more forcefully than he had intended. "Please, sir, I was just mugged. You're a hero, aren't you? You're supposed to do something." Now, Midoriya couldn't see Endeavor's face, but he could almost feel the hero's annoyance. "I don't have time to deal with some stupid mugging. If I walked around handling all the back alley shit that happens all day, I'd be no better than some worthless sidekick. I'd never become the #1 hero. Go find someone who cares." He turned and stormed off, leaving the young child dumbfounded in his wake. As he watched the flame hero exit his vision, Midoriya slowly sunk down onto the pavement and tears dripped from his eyes. How could he not care? Heroes are supposed to be the ones who help people. If my teachers won't care what kids are doing in school, the heroes won't help outside of school, and mom won't notice anything wrong, then who am I supposed to turn to? I mean, it seems like the only person who cares about me is me. Midoriya laughed, but it was dry and mocking. Then his eyes got wide and he smiled. "That's it. I have to be the one to help. I don't have a quirk, so it's not like I can go vigilante, but I'll figure something out." Then the smile grew dangerous. "And first I'll figure out how to get that mugger in jail." With that thought in mind, he walked home with a new pep in his step and a light in his eyes that hadn't shone in years. When Midoriya got home, he plopped down on his bed and began to search for any evidence he could against his attacker. He soon realized, though, that, while there were cameras in the alley, he wouldn't be able to reach them without either permission or hacking. God, it's like they don't want people to get condemned. Sighing, Midoriya turned to the internet to see if there were any other options. Because, when in doubt, turn to Google. Oh hey, free online coding and hacking classes. That could work. Seems sketchy, but I don't have any other options at the moment. The 11-year-old leaned back, satisfied with this achievement. It was his first step, kind of, towards his end goal. Even if it had only been a Google search and finding some online classes, it was still more than he had ever done before. Pride rippled through him and Midoriya smiled to himself. Soon I'll bring that man to justice. I hope." It wasn't until he heard his mother open the door that he remembered the reason he needed to do this in the first place. He scrambled downstairs to see the short, plump woman hanging up her coat. "Hi honey, how was your day at school?" she said as she grabbed Midoriya in a large, warm hug. "You remembered to go shopping, right?" "Actually, there was an issue. So, you see, I was going to. But then this guy stopped me and had knife and had a themen and itrad tojta hero tosta fimbathetted and tant the gagatawe," and he stopped as he felt his mom's shaking hands on his shoulders. "Oh my gosh, you were mugged. Are you okay, baby?" The woman began to cry as she embraced him again and began petting his hair. "Oh, don't you worry about the groceries, we can go together tomorrow. It'll be all right. Now tell me what happened." The next big change didn't happen until a couple weeks later. Izuku was walking home from school again when he heard crying from the alley across the street. Carefully, he slipped inside and walked toward the source. "A villainous piece of shit like you. You'd be better off in a prison than as a doctor. It's almost naive that you think a quirk that can take people apart isn't perfect for a villain like you." It sounded to him like a high schooler. Peeking around the corner of a dumpster, he could see two kids in what he thought were the uniforms of middle school third years. 1 year younger than what he originally thought. The taller of the two was leaning over a shorter kid who had fallen to the ground against the dirty alley wall. "But what if someone needs surgery or an amputation, and I could help?" the smaller boy retorted. Izuku could see his hands shaking from where he stood a few meters away. "Huh, yeah right. You'd probably screw up and get them killed like the worthless fuck-up you are." The younger kid, or at least he looked younger, curled in on himself. Satisfied, the bullies walked away down the other end of the alley, laughing. Deciding that now would be the best time, Izuku stepped out of his hiding spot and began to walk over to help up the still shaking boy. "Hey, are you alright? Man, that guy was an ass. I know someone just like him, and let me tell you, he's the worst." The older boy gave him a look of bewilderment before giving a small laugh and nodding. Yeah, that guy is the worst too. He broke my phone yesterday too. Oh, that sucks. I would have asked to trade numbers, Izuku said in the most caring voice he could. By the way, what you said about your quirk was really spot on. It would be really good for a surgeon or even an EMT. Does it work selectively or does it only remove the entire object? Because if it was selective, you could even use your quirk to remove tumors or take out bullets. Oh my god, that's such a cool quirk. He almost started one of his muttering tangents but stopped at the look on that guy's face. It does work selectively. The kid was looking at Izuku like he hung the stars in the sky. And wow, that's a lot of ideas. I've never even thought about my quirk that way, and trust me, I've thought about it a lot. What's your quirk? Analysis. Well, funny you say that. Midoriya rubbed the back of his head nervously. I don't have a quirk. Oh, cool. Suddenly, his face turns into one of pity and awkwardness. So, yeah, thanks, I guess. Anyways, see you around. The middle schooler picked up his stuff, dusted himself off, and started jogging down the alley away from Midoriya. Wow, he forgot how much that hurt. Everyone at his school knew he was quirkless, so he hadn't gotten that kind of reaction in a while. Ugh, Midoriya kicked the ground under his worn shoes and stared towards the sky. Well, dinner won't make itself and I'm in charge of it tonight. Gotta get home. Still, during the final minutes of the walk home, Midoriya couldn't figure out which hurt more, the kid's reaction, or the fact that it was so normal he was able to just brush it off. However, he did know that it would be the last time anyone would get away with anything without him knowing about it. And without the police knowing about it, because Midoriya wasn't about to be walking around beating heads in. No, Midoriya grinned. He'd let the police do that. 3 years later. Okay, Midoriya stretched his hands over his head and felt his back pop. This is gonna take a while. He pushed away his computer and brought his notebook towards him. So, first up is the villain Groundbreaker. He was last seen in these coordinates, which is a bar. Well, I guess he's an idiot, but I mean, it helps me a lot. So, if I hack into this camera, then I can see when he leaves and where he goes. Midoriya smiled and switched his notebook for his computer. He brought up his version of the city map and looked for the camera nearest to the bar. Camera 5623, an easy enough one to hack. Once Groundbreaker left the bar, Midoriya slowly followed the villain's path using the cameras in a totally legal way up until he entered an abandoned warehouse. The villain didn't leave the building for the rest of the night. Ugh, Izuku slithered from his chair and collapsed onto the floor. That took a while. Eesh, what time is it? He turned his head slightly to allow for the bright red light of his alarm clock to assault his eyes. It was blinking a simple 4:21 a.m. Dang it, I missed 4:20. I'm an embarrassment, a disgrace, and I really should message the others about this soon. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, you will never guess what just happened. Denzawa, why are you awake? Apparition, I could ask the same of you. Denzawa, but you won't, because you know why. Apparition, you take all the fun out of this. Salty, both of you, shut up. Apparition, oh, we made Dad number 2 mad. Apparition, did we wake you up? Salty, yes, you did, so you've better jump straight to the point. Apparition, oof, that be kinda hard cause straight ain't in my DNA. Denzawa, do you have something for us? Apparition, yeah, I'm getting to that. Apparition sent you a location. Apparition, there you go. Apparition, Groundbreaker's famous and cobwebbed hideout. Midoriya grinned as he could almost see Tsukachi scrambling to get all of his other police and hero buddies on high alert. Not to mention that Aizawa was probably already running across rooftops to try and scope the place out. It would be so easy to go back to his computer and confirm it, but he doesn't want to take any unnecessary risks. Just because he hasn't been found out yet doesn't mean he won't. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Denzawa, how do we know you aren't lying? Apparition, are already there, right? Apparition, you can confirm for yourself. Denzawa, salty, ever going to tell us how you know this? Midoriya almost laughed at Tsukachi's predictable text. 4 years ago, he completed his first arrest, the person who tried to mug him. Tsukachi had immediately wanted to know who he was, and Midoriya almost told him. But then he remembered the one kid in the alley. If Midoriya told the police force, they would figure out he was quirkless and maybe think that his evidence was faulty. So, he gave them the name Apparition and told them that only after he put 100,000 deserving people in jail would they finally get to know. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, am a magical unicorn. Denzawa, you're at 86,017 people in jail already. Why not just cut it short? Apparition, Ike. Denzawa, I give up. Go to sleep. Apparition, you first. Denzawa is now offline. Apparition, rude. Apparition is now offline. 2 hands slammed onto Midoriya's desk and startled him awake. He almost kept pretending to be asleep anyway, but then he smelled the smoke. He whipped his head up and stared into the crimson eyes of Bakubich Katsuki. Hi, Kakin, fancy seeing you here. Midoriya cringed internally. That was not a good idea, but nothing is ever a good idea when Bakugo is around. Bright light flashed from underneath Bakugo's palms and Midoriya flinched away. Fancy seeing you here. Bakugo snarled in a bad imitation of Midoriya's voice. You think you can make fun of me? Especially after ignoring me? No, I didn't mean to say that. Wait, when did I ignore you? Oops, that was the wrong thing to say. Anger sparked in Kaken's eyes and he leaned closer. Sleeping in class like you're better than the rest of us? Huh, like a quirkless freak could ever be better than me. The heat from Bakugo's explosions almost burned Midoriya's skin and he tried to back away, which is easier said than done when one is in a chair. Said chair then tipped over and Midoriya's head slammed into the ground. He scrambled out of it and stood up with the grace of a baby fawn. So, you see, I didn't mean to fall asleep. It was an accident. I just stayed up too late last night and yeah. So, can you ever find it in your heart to forgive me? As soon as Midoriya realized what he just said, he freezed. Oh god, this is going to be the day that I die. I just talked back to Kaken. I'm doomed. Poor Ezerhead and Tsukachi, they'll never know who I am. I'll never get to 100,000 people. I'm too young to die. I have too much to live for. Thankfully, no more words were exchanged. Bakugo just used his signature glare and quirk to escalate the situation, and once it was smoky enough, he left. Actually, Midoriya thinks while walking home and looking down at his burnt uniform and skin, I might have preferred if there was more talking and less burning. His backpack was chafing on one of the worst burns and the pain was getting to the point where he couldn't ignore it anymore. Thankfully, he had already made it to the park and was able to find a secluded area. Once he got there, Midoriya quickly sat down and took off his backpack. Then, he took out his mini first aid kit and applied the burn cream to his shoulder. The relief was immediate. Thank God for quality burn cream, what the fuck. The thing responsible for surprising Midoriya was a boy, around Izuku's age, running full speed into his hiding spot. The middle schooler then proceeded to trip over Midoriya's outstretched legs and fall flat on his face. Oh my god, are you okay? The fallen boy had a uniform that Midoriya had never seen before, and purple hair. He, honestly, looked to be dead. This just in, Apparition killed an innocent boy. The entire police force is coming together to find this criminal. A groan stopped the greenette's internal monologue and he looked down to see the boy was slowly getting up. The middle schooler didn't look very injured, besides from a bump on his head, so Midoriya breathed a sigh of relief. He was about to ask the boy's name when shouts came from the same direction he had come from. The kid's expression soon turned to fear, and Midoriya, who had had that exact expression many times, could guess who was chasing him. A light bulb went off in his head, and Izuku quickly climbed one of the trees, took his phone out, and started recording. 3 new boys came into the clearing, cracking their knuckles and smirking. In their hands they held a muzzle. Did you think you could run from us, villain? The perplex shook his head and opened his mouth to defend himself. Shit, he's gonna talk. Quickly, the 2 other boys jumped on their victim and wrestled him to the ground. Their leader quickly walked over to the struggling boy and put the muzzle on his head. There, now you can't brainwash anyone. Man, feels good to be a hero, doesn't it, guys? His 2 lackeys nodded, satisfied. They walked away and left the boy curled in a ball, tears falling from his tired, sunken eyes. Midoriya took that as his cue to stop recording and climb down. Hey, a flinch, it's okay. I'm a friend. Can I take that muzzle off? A nod. Midoriya quickly put on the gloves he kept with him and bent down. Once he had taken the muzzle off, he then put the offending object in a police evidence bag and stuffed it in his backpack. Can never be too careful. What's your name? Shinszo Hitoshi. Sarcasm leaked into his voice and Midoriya wondered if that meant he was lying or was a coping mechanism. Cool. Hi Shinszo, I'm Midoriya Izuku. Are you hurt? I have a first aid kit in my bag for when things like this happen to me. At that last sentence, Shinszo looked up wide-eyed. He paused a moment, taking in the various burns on the shorter boy. After a moment, his inner turmoil seemed to die down and he spoke. Thank you, Midoriya, but I think I'll be okay. And anyways, I don't think a first aid kit is going to be enough for those injuries. You should go to a hospital. His eyes were filled with concern and no sarcasm was found. Apparently fellow bullet students get a free pass. No, I'm good. I have top-class burn cream in it, so I'll be good. Although, I'll need to get a new uniform, but this is why you order spares. When Shinszo looked ready to argue, Izuku decided it was time to get back on his walk. I'll, see you around. Hopefully. Midoriya started walking away and then said one more comment. And don't worry, things will get better, leaving the confused boy behind him. The burnt middle schooler started jogging back to his house, carrying his backpack in his hand instead of over his shoulders. As soon as he got home, Midoriya yelled a quick "I'm home" and raced to his room. Shinszo Hitoshi. Now that I know his name, I can find his school and hack into the cams. Maybe I'll get his number while I'm at it and text him. Midoriya cracked his knuckles and began. 2 hours later, he had about an hour's worth of footage of poor Shinszo being bullied. The footage also shows the teachers not doing anything, or helping it along. Izuku compiled it all, including the recording he got in the park, and put it on his flash drive. This specific flash drive was decorated so it has a smiley face on one side and a ghost on the other. Midoriya also added some general info like names so that Tsukachi can deal with it faster. He then put on some dark clothes, got out the bag with the muzzle, and told his mom that he was going on a walk. The walk to the police station is pretty quiet, so Midoriya spent the time hacking their cameras. Well, the one in Tsukachi's office. Once he got there, the greenette walked to the side of the building and checked the camera to make sure no one's inside that room. There wasn't. Perfect. Then, a click of a button and the camera is looped. Midoriya walked over to his favorite police officer's office window and quickly peeked in. Still no one there. Then, he fiddled with the window lock a bit and slid the window up. Geez, it took me forever to figure out how to deal with that lock. Like bitch, what the fuck? That bitch-ass window lock stopped me for a fucking month. I had to enter through the vents. Fuck no, never again. Once he got into his office, Midoriya placed the muzzle and the flash drive on his desk and made a speedy escape, unlooping the camera once he was off the premises. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, at Salty I gave you a present. Apparition, it's not time sensitive but I would like you to deal with it soon. Salty, yeah, I see it. Deadzawa, what's it about? Apparition, bullying, quirk discrimination, suicide baiting, middle school. Deadzawa, that's different from what you usually do. Why? Apparition, I saw it myself and wasn't about to let it go. Apparition, plus I knew that Deadzawa would be interested. Deadzawa, I hate that you're right. Salty, in any case, we'll get right on it. Salty, thanks for this. Apparition, OMG. Apparition, parental acceptance and appreciation. Apparition, you do care. Deadzawa, parental, really? Now is not the time to act like a teenager. Apparition, I honestly feel so betrayed that you think a kid could do the same things I do. Deadzawa, your behavior is kind of childish. Apparition, disowned. Deadzawa, that's ... that's not how it works. Apparition, wait, do you finally admit are my parents? Apparition, I have been blessed. Deadzawa, I admit no such thing. Salty, daily reminder. Salty, Apparition, you should leave this kind of stuff to the professionals. Apparition, is over 86,000 successful arrests of bad people not professional enough for you? Salty is now offline. Deadzawa is now offline. Apparition, imago with it is then. Apparition is now offline. The next morning Midoriya woke up to a whole 8 hours of sleep. He usually didn't stop until he had arrested at least 2 people, but he had already done that with Shinszo. That was how he got over 86,000 arrests in only 3 years. That, and villains like to be in groups. Safety in numbers, I guess. An hour later, Midoriya had already made himself breakfast, gotten dressed, gotten a lead, and was walking to school. He had his phone out and was investigating a new criminal. Their name was Chameleon, and they could change their entire appearance to fit their needs. It made them a pain to try and follow. But Midoriya had figured out their most used appearance and was now looking into that person's information. School started before Izuku could figure out anything super useful, but that didn't really matter. Midoriya's school was pretty average academically, so the classes were a breeze. All he had to do was start investigating on his computer instead of his phone. It was during the lunch break that Midoriya finally found a clue. Chameleon's main persona's name was Nakamoto Takashi and went to school at UA. Oh shit, a villain got into UA. This could get bad. With new fervor, Midoriya tried to get as much evidence as he could that Nakamoto and Chameleon were the same person. Time passed in a flash and soon school had ended. Still, during all that time, there was a piece missing. Midoriya's research was enough that anyone with a brain could figure out that his suspect and Chameleon were one and the same. But it wasn't enough to get the civilian version of the criminal in jail and make him stay there. What a muttering tangent. Okay, so look at all the times when Chameleon went and wreaked havoc. Midoriya paused as he scrolled through different newspapers. Wait, what's that? He robbed a store with a bunch of other villains at noon. On a Tuesday. That's during school. Which means that I might be able to get footage of him leaving UA or transforming into something using Chameleon's quirk. So all I have to do is hack into UA's cameras. Wait, shit. Well, let's see what we can do. During this tangent, Midoriya had walked under a specific underpass like always. Behind him, a grate rattled as if something was trying to get out. Midoriya didn't stick around to find out. He ran like hell. I have watched way too many horror movies, villain fights, and just random camera footage to stick around when a sewer grate rattles. No way. Plus, I can always see what's going on from the safety of my house. He felt something brush his feet and arm and Midoriya somehow sped up. Adrenaline does wonders. Wait, stop. Get back here. An unknown voice screams out from behind him. However, Midoriya didn't stop running until he had gotten to his apartment complex, and even then, he only slowed to open his door and get inside. Once inside, he stopped and leaned against the door until he caught his breath. What ... the hell ... was that? He gasped. Walking further into the house, he found the nearest comfortable object and collapsed onto it. Did I just almost die? Ugh, I guess there is only one way to find out. Sighing, he rolled off the it was a couch, and shuffled towards his computer. He quickly located the right camera and pulled up the footage from not even half an hour ago. Okay, so I'm walking, and holy shit, what the fuck is that thing? OMG, is that All Might? No way. Damn, that was sick. It only took one hit. He watched on the screen as All Might leapt off, and then leaned back in his seat and exhaled. Even if the number one hero had been there, it had taken him a couple minutes to arrive, and he might have suffocated in that time. Okay, back to the case at hand. Let's go. It took almost 4 hours to break through the wall blocking the public from UAS cameras. Midoriya cheered as the files finally popped up onto the screen of his virtually untraceable computer before he began to click through various footage links. He eventually was able to locate the student in question. Nakamoto Takashi. Jin Edha. Okay, room 2D. Yup, just as I thought. Sneaking out with the lunch rush. Very clever. And yup, re-entering just before class. Got you. He worked swiftly now that he had confirmed this lead to find the matching cameras and follow the Nakamoto boy into the city. Once he had a full timeline of the events that occurred that afternoon, he loaded it on a file and saved it to his phone. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition. Hey dad number 1, dad number 2, guess who I found? Denzawa. Just spit it out, I have grading to do. Apparition. Geez, no need to be too cranky. Apparition. Here's your hint, it rhymes with Sylvian. Denzawa. What? Chameleon. Apparition. Well, one guess. Yep. Denzawa. Okay, I don't know what Sylvian is, but I know it doesn't rhyme with chameleon. Apparition. Yeah, but it worked, so who cares about the nitty-gritty details? Salty. So are you going to send us the evidence or not? Apparition. Well, both of you are cranky today. Apparition. Did someone pour salt in your coffee instead of sugar? Oh well. Denzawa is offline. Apparition. He doesn't appreciate my genius. Apparition. Anyway, here's the file. Apparition. B95CCA5. 0F670. MP4. Salty, thanks. I would give you the daily reminder now, but honestly, I doubt you even read it. Salty is offline. Apparition. True. Apparition is offline. With that completed, he moved on to trying to find the new villain in Musutafu. He looked down at his phone in confusion. What the hell? No one texts me other than my mom, and she's still at work. He unlocked his phone and opened the Messages app. No way. I didn't think he'd actually respond. Unnamed chat. Shinszo Hitoshi. Hi, sorry I didn't respond to your text. I was caught up with something. How are you? Midoriya Izuku. I'm doing pretty good. You? Shinszo Hitoshi. I'm fine, and you'll never guess what happened. Midoriya Izuku. Oh, do tell. Shinszo Hitoshi. Okay, so the day I met you, that afternoon, this policeman came to my house and told me that he wanted to take a statement against the school. Shinszo Hitoshi. He told me he's going to build a case against them because of all the shit they ignore the kids doing. Then, my parents were trying to stop him, and he started to question them, and now he's building a case against them too on the basis of like 10 different abuse issues. Midoriya Izuku. Hold up. You are being abused. Shinszo Hitoshi. Aw shit. Shinszo Hitoshi. Yeah. But now my parents are being investigated, so I'm going to be fine soon, I hope. I mean, the detective, Sukachi, I think, seemed really nice and caring. Midoriya Izuku. What are our parents' names? Shinszo Hitoshi. Why? Midoriya Izuku. No reason. Shinszo Hitoshi. Shinszo Safu and Shinszo Eru. Midoriya Izuku. Cool, thank by T-Tile. Midoriya Izuku is now offline. Shinszo Hitoshi. Okay. Should I be scared? Shinszo Hitoshi is now offline. Well, and here I thought I was going to get some sleep today. Honestly, who was I kidding? Pushing aside the chameleon evidence, Midoriya starts to rifle through all possible residences for a certain Shinszo family. However, it was easier to find them than he expected. Wait, how was this not pushed into the light sooner? Multiple complaints from neighbors and even onlookers, and nothing was ever done. See, this is why I created Apparition. Slowly, Midoriya got access to the family's security measures, which he found out was none. Not a single fucking camera. What the fuck? You know, this might take the cake of annoying things I've been forced to deal with. Do they even have security? He pauses. Oh, of course, they have window locks. The only goddamn security they have are window locks. That's it, I'm getting a metal bat and smashing their windows. No one can stop me now. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition. Cone 160 dB6. 1G781. MP4. Apparition. Just in case you need some evidence. Apparition. I know it's not much, but I'm lazy. Denzawa. Wait, for what criminal is this used for, and what is it? Apparition. Boy, can you not read? Apparition. It's for the Shinszo case, and it's a list of complaints. Denzawa. Go to sleep. Apparition. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Denzawa. Go to sleep. Apparition. Fine dad TT. Denzawa. No, don't use those. Apparition. Denzawa is now offline. Apparition. No one appreciates me. Apparition is now offline. A month passed, and Apparition had completed around 90,200 total arrests. To go along with that, Eraserhead had adopted Shinszo, and Shinszo, soon after, figured out that Midoriya was Apparition. So, it's not like anyone was slacking off. In fact, at the moment, Midoriya was leisurely hacking on his phone while his math teacher droned in the background. Math was always his best subject, so he didn't really need to be paying attention. Plus, the teacher never called on Midoriya because, he was quirkless. And obviously quirkless people can't be smart. The one-time quirk discrimination works in my favor. Basically, Midoriya was not and did not have to pay any attention in this class. So, when someone knocked on the classroom's door, Midoriya was unsurprisingly startled. He looked over to see that it was the janitor. That janitor only starts working after school hours. What's he doing here? Hi, I was sent here by the principal to ask you about the missing window locks, the janitor stated, looking very apologetic. The teacher stopped her explanations for some type of equation that Midoriya was 85% positive he already knew to question window locks. I'm not quite sure what you mean. Well, all of the little latches that keep the windows from opening after school hours have been taken off the windows, and the principal can't find any evidence of who it was, because we don't have enough money for cameras, so he instructed me to ask around. The janitor started walking to the next classroom but stopped to give one more message. So, if you have any information on who did this, please tell the principal. This is qualified as a safety breach. As soon as the janitor left, the room exploded in chatter and questions. It took the teacher forever to calm everyone down. Now, does anyone have any idea who would do this? Speak up please, and don't be shy to tell me after class instead, if you want to. All of the students looked at each other, silently questioning who they thought it could be. Of course, no one looked at Midoriya. He was just a quirkless kid. What could he do? Okay then. So, who can tell me what X equals? So, maybe taking the window locks off the windows in my school wasn't the best idea. Oops, too late now. Midoriya tunes the sensei out and turns back towards his phone. At least there are no cameras to pick it up. Not that that would have mattered. Midoriya was sitting on his couch after school, trying to finish another case because he didn't have enough time during math class thanks to the janitor when a knock jolted him out of his thoughts. Someone was at his front door. Midoriya got out of his seat to open it and see who was there. When he opened the door, what greeted him was a large rat. Or is it a small bear? Maybe a dog. In a suit. Wait, Nezu. No way, no way, no wa. Am I a rat, a dog, a bear? Who knows? However, I am the principal of UA. Also, I like the Crocs and socks look. Midoriya shut the door. Wait, shit, I just shut the door on the principal of UA. Fuck. Izuku ripped open the door again to see the small principal looking up at him with a creepy glint in his eye. Hello Midoriya Izuku, or rather, Apparition. It took rather a long time to track you down, a feat that I can say has occurred very few times. You are the one who broke into my camera network and got my student arrested, weren't you? Is that question optional? Midoriya responded, blinking on a way out of the conversation at hand. I mean, come on in. I'll make you some tea if you'd like. Yes, Jasmine would be lovely. The two shuffled into the house. Izuku left awkwardly to prepare tea as Nezu sat patiently on his sofa. He returned with a tray of tea a few minutes later and placed it on the table, hoping Nezu might start the conversation. Thankfully, he wasn't disappointed. I'm still at a loss as to how you managed to hack into my cameras with only the experience of some free online coding courses, but I suppose that question will be answered in due time. The small mammal spoke calmly, taking a long sip of his tea before continuing. But the real reason I am here is to give you an offer. Oh, Izuku responded smartly. I recognize a brain with potential when I see one. I've done my research into your arrests as well, and your morals are impeccable. I request that you allow me to take you on as a personal student. I would love a chance to shape your brain. Not only that, but this mentorship would allow you to get into UA for your high school years by direct recommendation from me. You wouldn't have to take the hero exam, so your lack of quirk wouldn't be an issue. What do you say? Nezu's beady eyes staring into Midoriya's soul, and he shuddered. But not only in fear. This was a once-in-a-thousand lifetimes chance, and he was not going to give it away. Only if you don't tell Eraserhead and Tsukachi about any of this, including Apparition's identity. Wait, what? Why did I say that? Now he might not accept. I'm an idiot. Of course, I would hate to lose you to them. Nezu replies, and he then extends his paw. Midoriya reaches out and grabs it. Welcome to UA Midoriya Izuku. Nezu hopped off the couch and placed a small badge on the table. It was a UA student badge. I'll see you tomorrow then, after school. The principal then sauntered towards the door. Right before he got to it, however, he stopped. Oh, Nezu turned around and smiled at Midoriya. And thank you for the tea. With that, he opens the door and exits. What the fuck? A short, 14-year-old Izuku walked into UA the next Monday ridden with anxiety and stress. He didn't know what to expect from joining the UA 9 months early, not to mention in the middle of the school year, and as the student of the principal. Oh god, this is how I die. He walked up to the principal's office, waving to the receptionist as he passed, and knocked twice on the door. It opened swiftly to reveal Nezu, who didn't look shocked at all to see him 20 minutes early. "Hello, Midoriya. I'm quite pleased to see you here so early." The principal turned and grabbed tea from a counter in the back of the room before gesturing for Izuku to join him on the couch. "Honestly, I just wanted to avoid other students," Midoriya awkwardly responded, laughing a little. Midoriya quietly sat down on the couch only to jump a foot into the air as a single knock rang from the door he had just passed through. He watched as Nezu walked to the door and opened it to reveal Dad number 1. Shit, what if he recognizes me? Wait, he has no idea who I am. Calm down, Izuku. Don't look like you recognize him. Geez, I honestly forgot he worked here, though. This'll be interesting. Hold on, is that Shinszo? What is going on? Nezu, you asked to see us? Aizawa said in a gruff voice. If I didn't know better, I might think he was nervous. I mean, I guess anyone would be to bring their child around, Nezu, but still. Yes, I did, responded the small mammal, sipping his tea. Due to the circumstances that brought young Shinszo's case to light and his budding friendship with my personal student here, I figured you might be more than happy to allow me to use your son as a tour guide for a moment. Aizawa's eyes widened, a glint of fear in them before it's covered it up by glaring at Izuku. Oh no, is Dad going to kill me? I'm too young to die. I'm afraid I don't understand. Who is that kid and why do you want to use Shinszo and not someone else? Aizawa narrowed his eyes and subtly stepped in front of Shinszo. Shinszo, on the other hand, tilted his head and stared at Midoriya. Midoriya waved. I forgot to introduce him. This is Midoriya Izuku. I found him after he hacked into UA. Quite a feat if I do say so myself. Nezu answered only one of the questions and began to pour himself tea. Anyone want any? Midoriya nodded, too afraid to do otherwise, while both Shinszo and Aizawa shake their heads. Izuku doesn't miss the suspicious glance Aizawa gives him. That doesn't answer what you want with my son. Aizawa growled out. Midoriya mouthed, oh, son. Nice, before snickering at the embarrassed glare Shinszo shot him. Yes. In all honesty, the biggest reason is because of his friendship with Midoriya. Because they already know each other, it would help the atmosphere and make the situation more comfortable. So, I thought that Shinszo would be the best person to show Midoriya around. Nezu sipped his tea and stared straight into Aizawa's soul, almost daring him to object. Tension started to leak into the air after that declaration, and Shinszo motioned towards Midoriya. Do something, he mouthed. What? Midoriya replied. Shinszo glanced around the room and then shrugged. Ugh, fine. I'll save the day, and stopped Aizawa from murdering Nezu over his son. Nezu, do you mind? Midoriya walked over to the window and motioned towards it. Of course, feel free to open it. Oh, your tea is ready, by the way. Nezu nodded and turned back towards the argument at hand. Got to distract him before he starts to speak again. Not what I meant, but okay. All three of them whipped around and stared at Midoriya. Quickly, Midoriya flicked out a pocket knife and moved towards the window lock. He slipped the knife underneath it and yanked it towards the ceiling. The rusty lock smacked the ceiling with a loud crack and then plopped onto the ground next to Midoriya. Midoriya then placed the knife back into his sleeve and shuffled towards his chair. From the corner of his eye, he could see both Eraserhead and Shinszo looking at him like he was insane. Nezu just looked thoughtful. I'll take the tea now. Thanks. As Midoriya grabbed the small china cup, Shinszo spoke up for the first time in that day. What do you have against window locks? They stop criminals from getting arrested. Shinszo opened his mouth again. But Midoriya continued with a simple, don't ask. Midoriya then waved his hand in a continue motion as he sat down and sipped his tea. He then used years of experience to ignore the stares he was getting from both directions. I cannot believe I just did that. Oh my god, I just lost my once-in-a-lifetime chance to be taught by Nezu. Why did I think that vandalizing his office was a good idea? He looked nervously in Nezu's direction, but the principal was calmly sipping his tea. The rat looked like he had seen this happen enough times that it did not ruffle him. All right, Aizawa, do you have any more questions? All the attention shifted to the mammal as he looked in the teacher's direction. Eraserhead opened his mouth to speak but was swiftly cut off. No? Well, that's good. In any case, you need to be creating Monday's lesson, correct? Yes, Aizawa did not look very happy, but he left the room without a word. Midoriya's shoulders unconsciously relaxed while Shinszo tensed up a bit. Neither of them knew exactly what was going on. Okay, well, now we should begin. Both Shinszo and Midoriya perked up and were ready for whatever Nezu was going to say. First off, let me go through exactly what I want to teach you. If you have any concerns, please wait until I'm done talking and then you'll be able to speak. He claps his hands together. Shinszo, bear with me for a moment. Once I'm done, I'll let you two get on your way. Now, Midoriya, although you work mostly online, we should probably fix the fact that you have the strength of a string bean. So you will have a two-part day. The first part will be physical training. Aizawa will be in charge of that. Then, once you are done, I will teach you the online and in-person versions of psychological warfare and strategy, as well as help you along with your hacking and, if need be, your cases. How does that sound? It sounds great. I wonder what weapons he'd let me have. I don't like physical violence, but it would be handy to have capture tools and maybe something for breaking and entering. Great. Now that that's settled, I'll give the ropes to Shinszo. Your guardians have already shown you around, I presume. Yeah. Shinszo appeared to be wondering if he could start the tour immediately. I mean, Nezu does have a creepy vibe when he shows how much he knows. Wait, I wonder what people think of me when I do that. I don't know if I want to be as scary as Nezu, but it kinda would be fun. Alrighty then. Nezu stood up and took the stack of papers off his desk. He then walked over to Midoriya and gave them the stack. This is going to be your schedule. You still have 9 months until school ends, so you will not be here all the time. Even if I wanted to, I cannot take you out of school early. Midoriya looked down to see a time management chart on the paper. Every hour was scheduled out perfectly. Now, as you might have noticed, your physical portion will slowly get quicker. For example, if you go to the back of the stack, the 10-kilometer run is now only an hour slot instead of 3-hour slots. As that happens, your intellectual time with me is slowly going to get longer, to take up the time you don't need. Any questions? Midoriya was worried that Nezu was going to overestimate his physical abilities, but it looked like everything was planned out in a possible fashion. Nezu really knows what he's doing. Wow, I wonder how many people got a sheet exactly like this that are now heroes. And, finally, a word of advice. You are the first private student I've ever taken on. What? That's incredible. Wait. That means I'm going to get a lot more attention, doesn't it? So, at the moment, only the teachers know about this. You can decide exactly how much you want people to know about our relationship yourself. Alright, now, look at the first page. Shinszo and Midoriya both looked down to see the tour starting at 5 o'clock. A glance at the clock showed that it was, in fact, 5 o'clock. Nezu smiled again, but it looked a little sadder. So, as you've probably figured out, it's time for you to leave. I will not see you again until Monday. But, in the time between now and then, you will need to give me a portfolio. Midoriya, you need to give me your most impressive cases, or just intellectual things you think I should know about. As Midoriya and Shinszo tentatively stood up, Nezu herded them towards and out his office door. See you Monday. Midoriya spent more time staring at the office's closed door than he'd like to admit. Shinszo was the one to pull him out of it, by shaking him and starting the tour. He walked around, explaining the important landmarks and pointing stuff out. After about an hour, Midoriya had gotten an in-depth tour UA and knew more than most third years. The two boys said their goodbyes at the gate, and Midoriya continued on his way home. His face might have looked impassive, but his mind was a flurry of activity. Oh my god, did that really just happen? I'm Nezu's first ever private student. That's so scary. But, at the same time, I can use that to further my career. Wait, but I'm probably going to be an underground hero, so that would be the opposite of what I want to do. It was only when he reached the door of his apartment that he asked the biggest question. What am I going to tell Kaken when he finds out? The chat for ghosts who smile back. Dedzawa, I think I found a kid that's even crazier than Apparition. Apparition, ooh, I have been summoned. Apparition, do tell me more. Dedzawa, his name is Midoriya Izuku and he used a pocket knife to destroy a window latch. Apparition, I think they called window locks. Salty, no, it's latch. Salty, and how did you find this kid? Dedzawa, he was at UA. Dedzawa, he's Nezu's personal student. Midoriya fell off of his chair and rolled onto the ground. His laughter echoed through the house and tears leaked from his eyes. Someone weirder than me is me. Oh my god, this is so funny. It was nice having something to laugh about. Midoriya was still a little anxious about being Nezu's first student. It felt like he had so much more responsibility and had to live up to higher expectations. Midoriya wasn't sure that he could do it. Anyway, not the issue, for now. I'm 2 cases short for my quota and I don't have as much time as normal. So, what have I got? Midoriya migrated to his room and pulled a stack of folders from behind his bookshelf. Okay, we've got Harbinger, but I'm still kinda stuck on that and they seem to have gone underground. The manila folder was thrown towards his bed, and the next one was swiftly opened. Then there is Whisper, but I'm pretty positive she's a reformed villain now, so I should probably burn that at some point. After that is Mind Twist, but so far they haven't really done any extreme crimes so far, so that'll go in the maybe pile. Next is Endeavor, but I don't have enough backing in the legal area to go after him. Wait, Midoriya tossed all of the remaining files to his desk and scrambled towards his phone. Hello, who is this? The faint mousy quality of Nezu's voice transferred over the phone and Midoriya smiled. So, as your soon-to-be favorite student, how would you feel about supporting me in the legal field while I destroy Endeavor's life? Midoriya asked, which was probably extremely confusing to Nezu. Do you have sufficient evidence? That was Nezu's only response. Yeah, want me to send it to you so you can check it over? That would be lovely. Unnamed chat. Midoriya Izuku, Deetwo Ua 5. OG 666. MP4. Nezu, thank you. Nezu, I'll look into it and see what I can do. Midoriya Izuku, Tai. Nezu, but I do have a request of my own. Midoriya Izuku, what is it? Midoriya Izuku, hit me bro. Nezu, don't go taking people's phone numbers without their permission. Midoriya Izuku, why not? Midoriya Izuku, it doesn't hurt them. Nezu, yes, but one day you might get caught. Nezu, and I am having too much fun to let that happen. Midoriya Izuku, we both know the only person who could catch me is you. Midoriya Izuku is now offline. Nezu is now offline. Okie dokie, Todoroki, ha ha ha, get it? Time to find out how to ruin the number 2 hero's life. You know, normal stuff. Midoriya stuffed his phone into his pocket and tried to sort the files back into an attempt of order. Throwing this across the room wasn't really the best idea. Oops, okay, so right now I have documented child abuse and neglect. I can probably get Todoroki Ray to give a statement, and maybe one other. But he's kind of a villain, so it might be hard. Anyway, I've also got him for breaking a multitude of laws while fighting villains, not to mention not paying for all of the property damage he has caused. So, yeah, can you help? Midoriya finished and stared at his phone. If I had known you would call me at 3:45 in the morning, I would never have agreed to help you. Nezu's voice ghosted over the line and Midoriya giggled. It won't happen too often. Hopefully. Anyway, you didn't answer my question. Yes, I can. With that evidence and my support, I'm sure we can take him down. Later, as in not now. Go to sleep, Midoriya. The line goes dead and Midoriya collapses onto his bed. Slowly, he shoved his phone over into a corner and slid the Endeavor file back behind the bookshelf. Welp, that was fun. Too bad I didn't get my 2 villains like I wanted. Midoriya paused in his mental dialogue and lifted his head to look at his clock. 3:46 blinked back at him. I have 3 hours and 30 minutes before I need to be up for school. That's probably enough time. A pause. Yeah, why not? Izuku stretched and sat back up. Without getting up, Midoriya grabbed his computer and pulled it onto his lap. The green-haired teenager flicked onto incognito mode and started to look through easily accessible cameras. Then he remembered something. Wait, I've seen a lot of villains going in and out of that one bar. Maybe I can see someone if I take a look over there. Midoriya didn't usually go over to that part of town, as it wasn't really filled with villain attacks, but watching that bar seemed like a good idea. And, turns out, it was. As soon as Midoriya switched into the outside camera, he saw a person walking out. This person had a very distinctive gait and an even more distinctive fashion sense. Lotus, I haven't seen you in a while. Midoriya had looked into Lotus a while back, but could never find anything concrete. It was a rumor that he had started his own organization and was never seen in public again. Perfect. You know what they say, cut off the head and hope it doesn't grow back while multiplying. Actually, I don't think that last part is part of the saying. Oh well, it's too late now. As Lotus swiftly walked away, Midoriya followed, but from the confines of his room. The villain was super paranoid. It took him 40 minutes to get to his hiding place when it should have only taken him 50. Sadly, as Lotus entered the building, Midoriya was stuck outside. There was nothing he could access. So, Midoriya hunkered down in his chair and got ready for a long wait. However, 2 hours after, Izuku got bored and brought out his phone. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, I think I might have something. Apparition, like I'm 99% positive. Apparition, and I'm hoping that the 1% doesn't get you killed. Denzawa, what did you find? Denzawa, and why this late? Apparition, you know the answer to that by now. Apparition, so basically I. Apparition, see you Fasculch. Midoriya was gaping at his screen. People had been coming in and out ever since Lotus went in. But Midoriya didn't know what they were doing and didn't recognize them, so he put it to the back of his mind. But now it was obvious. They were loading a truck with crates. Each crate was about 1 foot wide and 2 feet tall. But the most important thing was the logo on the top of each one. A raven in a plague mask, the Shai Hasekai. If those are the people making the stuff inside the crates, that means those crates contain trigger. Denzawa, Apparition, are you okay? Apparition, I am glad to see you care. Apparition, anyway, anyone down for a 4 AM drug bust? I'm talking at least 1 truck's worth of trigger. Denzawa is typing. Salty is typing. Salty, I've never known you to lie, but trigger hasn't been seen more than 4 ounces at a time in one place. If you're serious, then this either means the Shai Hasekai are somehow getting way more resources than we thought, or this could cripple them at their beginning. Denzawa, I've already contacted a backup team. What are the coordinates? Apparition has sent you a location. Denzawa, thank you so much. Denzawa is now offline. Apparition, all you're gonna make me cry. Apparition, I feel so loved. Salty, really Apparition. Thank you. Apparition, and CJB Kakwakiyuduik Affection. Apparition is now offline. Salty, did I just break him? Salty is now offline. Izuku sat back and flipped his screen to the news. Okay, it should be a bit before the news of the bust airs, so I might. Well, he fell forward, face hitting the keyboard as he fell asleep, and didn't get any more work done that night. Ugh, what time is it? Midoriya lifted his head from the keyboard and swiveled it until he could find his alarm clock. 6:58 blinked back at him. Time to get up. Midoriya quickly changed into his uniform and started on his hair. After what seemed like hours, actually only around 10 minutes, his hair didn't resemble a bush. However, that was only thanks to a lot of product that Midoriya swirled in. Satisfied with his appearance, Midoriya left the confines of his room and ventured down towards the kitchen. He opened the fridge and couldn't see anything worth eating, so he took out the cereal he kept around just in case this happened. Halfway through pouring himself a bowl, Midoriya and Co entered the room. "Hi, Mom. We need to go grocery shopping soon." Midoriya broke the silence. Inko, startled, locked eyes with him, and then looked away. "Oh, of course." She tried to add a happy note to her voice, but it still felt too fake. "Well, I'll see what I can do." Still without looking at him, she turned and left the room. God, I hate when she's like this. I mean, I know she cares and stuff, but I can't remember the last time she tried to talk to me about the school bullies. And she doesn't ever say anything about my sleep schedule either. Hell, she didn't even notice I wasn't in school yesterday. I don't know if it's about me being quirkless or something normal like that, or if it's just about me. He looked down at his empty bowl and sighed before placing it in the sink, grabbing his bag and leaving without another word. "Oh look, it's Deku," one of Bakugo's extras announced right after Midoriya entered the classroom. Quickly, Midoriya glanced around the room, but after not spotting a teacher, or anyone who would care, he just lethargically meandered over to his desk. "You know, with all of those bags under his eyes, maybe we should change his nickname." Another one speaks up. "To what? Zombie? Raccoon?" A third extra sputtered into laughter and the rest joined in. "Nah, this time it's Bakugo who speaks up. Deku is more accurate. I mean, who could be more useless than this quirkless freak?" Midoriya finally reached his desk and he quickly hid all of his stuff underneath it. Through trial and error, Midoriya quickly learned that Bakugo was less likely to destroy something if it was hard to get. Thankfully, the group was too busy insulting him to change to anything physical, so it was easy to tune them out, especially when Midoriya had something else on his mind. Now's not the time to be worried about Mom. There's more important stuff going on. Okay, so I have my Endeavor case in my portfolio, as well as Chameleon. I feel like Nezu would enjoy reading how I figured out one of his students was a villain, but I don't know what to add to it. I mean, all I do is look around some cameras. That's not very intellectual. Actually, I can show him how I learned to loop cameras and just hack into them. It's not about a case, but it's still something I'm proud of. Thus, the rest of the school day was filled with work. Midoriya went through all of his old files and research and compiled it into a file. The end result was a concise guide of how he went from 11-year-old Midoriya to Apparition. The only relief Midoriya got throughout the day was when we stood in front of UA. Bakugo's lackeys had harassed him throughout the school day, and even afterwards they tried to follow him to wherever he was going. This kind of behavior usually didn't get to him, but having it go along with his mother's actions that morning, Midoriya was feeling kind of down. When Midoriya walked through the door into Nezu's office, the rat immediately knew that the child was sad, but decided not to comment on it. So, as Midoriya sat down in his chair, Nezu started his spiel. "Alright, so as you can see on your schedule, the first 2 hours will be a baseline test. I want to get a general idea of where you are and what you need to work on or don't need to work on. So, let's go." Nezu shuffled towards the door and motioned for Midoriya to follow him. As they went into the hallway, Nezu took out his phone and sent off a quick text. Unnamed chat. "Nezu, hey, can you get them to ground beta?" Yamada Hazashi, "Sure." "Now?" Nezu, "Yep. I'm bringing someone for them to meet." During the walk, Midoriya got lost in his own thoughts. He hadn't even realized they had arrived until he looked up to see that they were in a fake city. What shocked him more was the group in front of him. He recognized them from the last sports festival as Class 2A. "Oh my god, this is so cool, these kids are going to be heroes." "Hello class," Nezu greeted, making Izuku jump. "Present Mike." Aka Yamada Hazashi nodded towards him and then left. "Holy shit, they're all looking at me. What do I do? What do I say? Let me introduce my new private student, Midoriya Izuku. I'm trying to get a baseline about his mental capacities, so if you all would be so kind as to allow him to analyze your quirks, it would do me a great service." A chorus of confused "sure" and "yeah, why nots" rang out, and Nezu led him over to a bench in the shade to observe. The principal handed him a notebook. Where did he even get that? Before pulling out a computer to work, Midoriya looked between the group and the principal before getting to work. "Okay, so if I split this up into 19 sections, then I'll have enough room for 5 pages on each student. That should be enough. Alright, who to— oh my god, he's naked. Why would they not give him a gym uniform that he can't lose? Okay, I guess we're starting there. But the way he's moving, I don't think it's teleportation. Usually teleporters have some type of visual alteration like a warp or phase. I wonder, maybe he's not teleporting but going through things. I mean, if you look closely at the way he angles himself before he disappears and then again when he pops back up. Permeation. I'll write it as a possibility. Wait, his arm is through that girl. And it still looks full, so he didn't teleport it. It must be permeation. Okay, so then maybe he could. He continued like this for around an hour as the class before him worked. By the time he had finished, his notebook was filled to the brim with ideas and theories for each of them. He looked toward where Nezu was still typing away. Nezu sir, he said, raising his hand awkwardly. I've finished. So you think I could interrupt their practice to ask about some of my theories? The rat skimmed through the boy's notebook. Or at least it looked like he was skimming. In all actuality, he was taking in every word. After a minute or two, he shut the notebook and handed it back with a smile playing on his lips. Does he even have lips? Of course. With analysis skills as lovely as yours, I'm sure they would love to hear what you have to say. Especially since they're working on preparing for their midterms and would probably appreciate the help. Midoriya took the notebook back from his teacher and made his way over to the group of high schoolers. Excuse me, he said loudly enough for them to hear. The activity stopped and he had to stop himself from cowering under their eyes. I would like to share my notes with you all. I have a lot of theories about your quirks and how you might be able to use them, and I would love some feedback. At first it was silent before a blonde boy spoke up. Sure dude, I'd love to hear what you got on us. The others chimed in their agreement. While some were less open to the judgment than others, they all knew it would probably help to have input. Luckily Nezu had thought ahead and had gotten him a notebook with pages that could be removed and reattached. Midoriya began to take out his pages and pass out each person's quirk analysis to them. Soon the area was filled with the sound of shocked and enlightened students. Satisfied, Midoriya slid next to Nezu and asked, "Did I pass your little test?" "Oh, Midoriya, it's not over yet." Unnamed chat. Shinszo Hitoshi, Yo Mido, where do you live? Midoriya Izuku, why do you want to know? Shinszo Hitoshi, because I want to know where your base of operations is. Midoriya Izuku, weird but okay. Midoriya Izuku sent a location. Midoriya was forced away from his computer when he heard a knock on the door. He heard his mother get up to open it, her footsteps light on the floor. The door creaked open and he could almost make out Inko talking with someone else. They sounded vaguely familiar. And two sets of footsteps entered the house and one came towards Midoriya's room. Someone knocked on his door. Midoriya, I know this is kind of sudden, but I wanted to hang out. Hope this is okay. Midoriya leapt up from his bed, ran to the door, and threw it open. In front of him was a surprised purple-haired boy. Shinszo, come on in. It's great to see you. Those bullies aren't giving you any trouble, are they? Shinszo hesitantly walked towards Midoriya's bed and sat down. No, I just wanted to hang out. I mean, we only really met that one time, so I figured it would be good for us to actually officially meet in person. Midoriya beamed. It had been such a long time since someone actually wanted to hang out with him. Then the awkward silence came in. Neither of them really knew what to say because neither of them had ever really wanted to start a conversation. Thankfully, Inko coming in the room holding snacks brought the tension down. The plate held one drink and a small sandwich. It was obviously meant just for Shinszo. Mom, why is there only one sandwich and drink? The woman looked at least a little apologetic. Well, I haven't gone shopping lately, so we didn't have enough food for 2 snacks. I thought I told you to go shopping a couple days ago. And I thought you did. Midoriya's words were mad, but his tone was resigned. This was obviously a normal occurrence. Well, yes, I did go shopping, but not for snack foods. There's always a snack bar at my work, so I guess I forgot. The plump brunette put the tray down and made a hasty escape from the room. Is that normal? Shinszo turned to look at Midoriya, and then glanced back at the door. No. This week has been pretty stressful for her, so. Midoriya didn't feel the need to finish his lie. I wonder if she actually forgot or if she just decided I didn't need any food. Well, do you want it or should I eat it? Midoriya picked up the plate and moved it towards Shinszo. The purple boy quickly digged in and smiled. Wow, you're hungry. Is Dezawa not feeding you enough? Shinszo choked on the sandwich and whipped around to face Midoriya. Dezawa, Shinszo repeated. Midoriya nodded and laughed. What, you've never heard me say that before? Midoriya teased. No, can't say I have. And to answer your last question, he has been, but he's also been training me. That alone makes me hungry. Being taught by 2 pro-her. He's in a relationship. You didn't know? Yeah, he's married. I had no idea. I have 3 dads. Midoriya jumped up and started to pace around the room mumbling. Wait, I shouldn't automatically assume that they're a guy, but Hawkeye Bates not an underground hero. Present Mike. No, you're kidding. Izuku sat down on the floor and began to laugh hysterically. It's like if an old cat was married to a golden retriever puppy. Oh god, I'm never letting him live this down. At the puppy comment, Shinszo joined him in his laughter. After a few moments, Midoriya sat up looking like he had had an epiphany. Oh my god, we should go to a cat cafe. They shared a look before rushing to get their things and running out the door. Quickly, they put on their shoes and ripped open the door. They finally reached the street, and as they walked the few blocks to the cafe they chatted calmly. Okay, bud, pal, my boy, tell me everything about Denzawa and present Mike. Their lifestyle, pets, relationship, anything I can use against him. Be my spy. Midoriya began. I mean, sure. Did you know Aizawa has 3 cats? Gasp. No way, what are their names? Tell me everything. Did you just say gasp? Yeah, I do that. Get over it. Okay. Well, he has a big, chunky, brownish gold one named Fax Machine. Oh my god. And then there's a black long thin boy named Sonic. He probably has a speed quirk. According to Yamada, they once had him race in Genium, and he only lost by like 4 milliseconds. Geez. Yeah. And then his last cat is a small light brown one named Chicken. Shinszo finished. I never thought I could love him more, but there you go. Midoriya laughed. They stopped at a crosswalk and Midoriya turned towards Shinszo. Okay, tell me more. I'll sometimes find Aizawa in the living room in his sleeping bag. He's not even asleep though. He just stares at me when I enter and then goes back to looking at the ceiling. Once, Yamada entered and dragged him back into their room muttering something. It was a time. As Shinszo finished telling the story, Midoriya started to hysterically laugh. He has a what now? When did that happen? And why don't I have one? Is all he said when he could finally breathe again. I don't know. Ask him. You do have his number. Shinszo replied. Yup, I'll do it when I can't sleep. Midoriya answered. Mood. Anyway, nothing too exciting has happened. Yamada tries to curve Aizawa's insanity around me, so that stops me from having funny stories. New, present Mike. I need the blackmail material. Midoriya wailed, and this time it was Shinzo's turn to start laughing. OMG Midoriya, no. Why do you? Right before Shinszo could finish the sentence, someone else interrupts him. Oi, shitty Deku, what are you doing here? And who's your dumbass boyfriend? Did he know you were quirkless when he agreed to hang out with you? Or did you have to bribe him? Bakugo sneered as he stalked towards the duo. His palms were sparking threateningly. It's not like that, Kaken. My friend knows that I'm quirkless, and he still decided to hang out with me. Shinszo looked at Midoriya in confusion, and saw the quirkless boy's face. Midoriya was obviously trying to be brave, but his eyes were terrified and face pale. Looking back at the stranger in front of them, Shinszo decided to intervene. And, who exactly are you? The bully started to answer, but was quickly cut off. His eyes turned glassy and his body grew slack. You're going to wait here for 5 minutes, forget this entire encounter, and then snap out of my brainwashing. The blonde boy nodded and Shinszo pulled Midoriya away. It was only when they had gotten to the cafe and sat down that Shinszo looked back at Midoriya. He couldn't see any trace of the previous fear. In fact, the boy looked ecstatic. That was your quirk. It's fantastic. I mean, I already kind of knew what it was, but seeing it in person was just so cool. I really hope you get into the hero course, not that I didn't already, because that kind of quirk has so many applications. Midoriya trailed off at the look on Shinzo's face. That's really nice, and you can ask me as many questions as you want about it, but first I have a question for you. What was that guy's quirk? Shinszo had seen some sparks on the blonde's palm, but he wanted to be sure. Oh, it's explosions. Was he the one that gave you those burns I saw when I first met you? Midoriya looked down. That was a yes then. How come you felt the need to get all up in my life? You got me away from those kids, you got me fucking adopted, and yet you're barely being fed, it seems. And you get bullied, and you haven't done anything for yourself. How is that fair? There aren't any cameras in our school, Midoriya said. Shinszo was taken aback by how scared he looked. And mom's fine. I mean, there's usually something in the house because she needs to eat T2SO. Hey look, I'm sorry I got so mad. I shouldn't have yelled at you. And why don't you tell Aizawa about what's going on? He and Tsukachi could help you. No, they can't. Midoriya's eyes were a mess of fear and rage. Shinszo didn't know what to make of the way he was acting, but it was obvious he had hit a sore spot. I learned a long time ago that the only person you can trust to take care of you is yourself. You deciding that, just because he says he cares about you, is enough to put your life in his hands is a mistake that you can make by yourself. Shinszo was stunned. Tears began to fall from Midoriya's eyes as he sat back down from where he had risen. People say they care about you, but really the only person anyone can afford to look out for is them. And I'm not going to risk being able to help people just because I think they can help me. Nobody truly cares about a quirkless boy. You know, Shinszo soothed, trying to get the boy to relax. I get what you're saying, kind of, about not trusting others. I still haven't told anyone a lot of things because I don't want to ruin the few decent relationships I have. I mean, everyone already hates me for my quirk. It's not like they need another thing to hate me for on top of that. You know you can tell me anything you want to. And if this is about someone else, I'll get them for it. The shorter of the two looked up at the purple boy. What's going on? It's not about anyone else, don't worry. The taller took a deep breath. Midoriya could tell that this was hard for him and put his hand over the others. So I might be non-binary. Hey, that's cool. I get it. I've been wondering about my sexuality for a while and I'm pretty sure I'm pan. Yeah, I'm asexual, but I'm romantically attracted to guys. The two sat in silence for a moment. Oh god, I really fucked up, didn't I? I shouldn't have blown up at him. Wait, shit, them like that. I was just really scared they'd tell Aizawa, and I'm so glad they aren't mad at me though. Or maybe they're just not showing it. What if they are mad and don't want to be my friend anymore? Shinszo could tell that Midoriya was inwardly freaking out, so they did their best to get him out of his head. By, of course, throwing a cat at the boy. The cat did not actually hit him in the face, but instead gracefully landed on Midoriya's shoulder and curled up, looking like being thrown happened all the time. Shinszo looked towards Midoriya, who was standing super still, looking just a little terrified. Do you not like cats? Oh, I am so sorry, I just thought that since it was your idea. No, Midoriya waved off Shinszo's concerns. I love them, but I've never had one as a pet, so I don't really know what to do. Shinszo giggled, walked over and taught Midoriya how to deal with a cat. By the end of their time at the cafe, both middle schoolers were laughing and talking. Sadly, they had to go their separate ways, but they went home with plans to hang out again and a deeper understanding of one another. Stop. At the harsh tone, Midoriya immediately stopped typing. You're doing it wrong. Instead of trying to sneak around the firewalls, break them and then patch them up before they notice. For one, it's faster, and two, you can make a backdoor for yourself at the same time. I don't think that would work in this situation. If you look at the code, you can see alarms written in. It would take longer to find a spot to break down the wall than to pick it apart. Midoriya countered. Nope, look closer. Those alarms aren't for people trying to bypass the wall, it's for people trying to change it. The code is slightly different, but it's understandable that you missed it. Nezu stepped away and went towards his teapot. Midoriya doesn't answer and continues to work on breaking into the government Quirk registry. Tada. Haha suckers, nothing is safe from me. Midoriya finally broke through and pushed his feet up, chair spinning backwards. And just in time. It's already 6, so it is time for you to leave. Have a great day, Midoriya. Nezu replied from behind his desk, while sipping tea. Why does Nezu like tea so much? Like, I know it's good for brain power, but yeesh. Midoriya bowed before slipping out of the office. He walked down a few halls before turning into the boys' bathroom. After closing the door behind him, he flipped open his trusty pocket knife and made quick work of unscrewing the bolts keeping the vent cover in place. He looked around for anyone who may be watching and jumped up. Midoriya grabbed the edge of the vent and hauled himself into it. Replacing the cover and dropping the bolts into his pocket, he began to crawl through the conveniently large vents. Okay, where to first? So, there's a classroom a few lefts over, but I don't think anyone would be in there. After that, the next interesting place would be the closet that everyone conveniently hides in when they're having a bad day. Midoriya had found people there crying at least 5 times. He always leaves the vents to try to comfort them, and has left multiple people thinking he was a fever dream. One even screamed and tried to kill him. Alas, I don't want to be attacked again, so I'll give that one a pass. Okay, the next best gossip corner would be the teacher's lounge. Well, let's see what they're talking about today. A few turns and bumped heads later, Midoriya reached his destination. Looking down from the vent, he could see his favorite group of teachers causing their usual chaos. Okay, gossip time. What weird shit has your guys' classes done? Conveniently, Midnight asked exactly what Midoriya wanted to hear. Well, someone blew up my classroom. Power loader began. They decided that mixing 2 very explosive chemicals would be a good idea. Thankfully, no one was hurt, although they are now blue. Wait, like everything blue, or just skin or hair? Present Mike asked. Ooh, Present Mike, the husband of my soul father. Must learn more. Everything. Their clothes, hair, eyes, skin. They're blue now. Power loader turned towards Aizawa. Now I can understand why you expelled your entire class. Doesn't mean I'm not surrounded by idiots. Aizawa sighed. So, you know how Nezu asked me and Shinszo to go to his office? Everyone nodded, and Midnight leaned closer, eager to know what happened. Well, a kid, Shinszo's age, was already there. And apparently he has something against window latches. Locks, because in the middle of the meeting he goes over and uses a knife to flick Nezu's window latch into the ceiling. Now done, Aizawa zipped up his sleeping bag and closed his eyes. Oh, that's why my classroom doesn't have any window latches. Midnight responded. I thought all of mine had lost their lives to explosions. Huh, maybe that kid did it all along. Powerload added. Well, on that note, I have a fun fact. Did you know oxygen can actually kill people that have breathing problems? Present Mike broke the silence and looked around with a shit-eating grin. So can I, what's your point? Midoriya replied. Aizawa's eyes opened and everyone's head whipped towards the vent. Oops, didn't mean to say that out loud. Quickly, Midoriya took out his knife and unscrewed the vent. Gracefully, he dropped out and gave a bow. Greetings, it is I, Nezu's personal gremlin. The teachers just kept staring. It was getting kind of uncomfortable. Then, Aizawa closed his eyes and sighed, cocooning once more. Wait, so you're the kid Aizawa was talking about? Midnight questioned. Midoriya walked over to the sink and started to pour himself a glass of water. Yup, That's me. And power loader, I will have you know that I only got rid of half of the window locks. The other half were missing when I got there. Midoriya sipped the water and stared down the teachers, most of which looked like they were contemplating the downside of yeeting themselves out of the lockless windows of the lounge. Green hair, green eyes, freckles, short. Hold up. Are you the guy in that one closet that only appears when someone is crying? Snipe asked. Again, yep. Nice to know that I have a reputation. The teachers all seemed to have gotten over their shock and began to ask him questions. Wait, so why are you here? Nezu found me. Why don't you have a uniform on? You, how did you meet Shinszo? Saved him from some bullies. Come on Midoriya, don't out Shinszo. You don't know who knows and who doesn't. Oh wow, that's so awesome. Are you aiming to become a hero? Midoriya looked like he'd been hit by a very angsty bus. Hold up on the questions please. I think it's time for me to ask some of my own. He responded, clearly dodging the question. The teachers nodded. Izuku looked worried. So, you guys have known Present Mike for a while? Yes. They nodded again. Present Mike looked both scared and intrigued. Great. So, if Present Mike died, would he be past Mike? What the heck? Why did I ask that? Where has my brain and anxiety gone? Then the room exploded in laughter. Present Mike was rolling on the floor, clutching his chest as he struggled to breathe. The other teachers were either looking nonplussed or were also dying of laughter. Thankfully, for Midoriya's mental stability, it was mostly the latter. Midnight was trying to choke out some words. I had never thought of that. Here lies past Mike. A big pause as she tried to catch her breath. We will miss him. Midoriya took this as his cue to continue on his journey, creeping out of the room and leaving Yue. Well, I think I made a good official first impression. Midoriya walked into his room and flopped on his bed. Wow, as fun as working with Nezu is, it's honestly super exhausting. Especially with the whole Endeavor case. I keep slacking on my vigilante work too. I really should catch up with that. Okay, come on, get up. The tired boy forced himself to move to his computer. Searching the news, he realized how much he'd been slacking off. Pulling up different tabs, he quickly had over 20 cases from the past few days that he hadn't yet handled, all of which looked simple, and got to work. When he next looked at the clock, it read 6 a.m. Shit, I have school tomorrow. Too late now. I only have 2 left. I might as well just finish them. Half an hour later, he had compiled the 20 completed cases into a folder and opened his dad chat. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, sorry for the delay, stuff happened and chaos ensued. Apparition, here you go. Apparition, 27 ASD, 98H South 36K. Denzawa, oh thank God you're okay. Denzawa, where have you been? We were worried sick. Salty, Izawa, you owe me $30. I told you he wasn't dead. Salty, but seriously, where were you? Apparition, like I said, stuff happened. Apparition, it's fine, I'm okay, I kinda got found out, but it's fine and everything is good now. Denzawa, someone found out who you are. Who? Salty, how much money do you want for the name of the person who found you? Apparition, geez, and here I was starting to think you loved me. Salty, I just looked at the folder you sent. Did you seriously solve 23 cases in one single night? Apparition, yup, I'm just that good. Salty, okay, I'm off to go file these. Salty is now offline. Denzawa, I still can't believe whoever found you hasn't spoken up to the police about it yet. Apparition, oh that part was easy, I just befriended them. Denzawa, why would I expect anything else honestly? Apparition, wait, don't you have class soon, you're a teacher? Denzawa, no. I expelled my entire class. Apparition, that's terrifying but not unbelievable. Denzawa, thank you. Apparition is now offline. Denzawa is now offline. Midoriya got startled by his alarm clock ringing beside him. Geez, I'm already awake. Ish. Slowly, the hacker rubbed his eyes, got dressed, and set off to make breakfast. The morning routine was practically muscle memory to do, so it didn't really matter that Midoriya was falling asleep where he stood. Sadly, that was not the case once school started. Even if all the studies were easy, the teachers weren't really fond of him falling asleep in class. The sound of a textbook hitting the floor was ingrained in his memory, as that's what the teachers used to wake him up. Still, they went easy on Midoriya with the punishments, that is to say that they didn't give him any because no one wanted to spend more time in his presence than they had to. Bakugo especially was annoyed. Because, apparently, falling asleep was looking down on people and not just trying to get some rest. The more you know, I guess. Who do you think you are, you Deku? Bakugo snarled as he gripped Midoriya's uniform. I hope he doesn't decide to ruin this one as well. You can only have so many spares. Falling asleep in class like you're better than all of us. Midoriya, although his internal monologue was snarky, paled while facing the explosion boy's wrath. Bakugo saw this reaction and smirked, like he had won that round. Like he had never not won. Then, he let go of Midoriya's collar and strutted away. He's like a damn peacock. As Midoriya walked home from school, he could only sigh in relief at the lack of burns on his skin or uniform. Maybe I should invest in learning how to sew. It would be useful for patching up any holes in my uniforms, and then I won't have to buy as many. or I could learn how to fireproof them. I'm sure that's a thing. In any case, that's a project for another time. I might have figured out 20 cases last night, but I'm still behind. As Izuku got to his house, he quickly walked in and got to his room. From there, he moved onto the villain spotting forums and looked to see if there was anyone new. No one, so he kept going until his phone started ringing. Hello, this is Nezu. I was calling you to see if you wanted to go to UA during your school hours tomorrow to see the recommendation exams. Midoriya had heard about the recommendation exams, but had never thought he would be able to see them. Yeah, that would be great, but I have a couple questions. When is it? How would I get there? And what would I be doing? The greenette had no idea how he could possibly get out of school, even if it was to go to UA. Well, it will be at 10 a.m. tomorrow. I would probably send a car with a pro hero who can use their influence to get you out of school, and you would be using your analysis skills to not analyze the examinees' quirks, but their mental state. Todoroki would be there, so I figured it would be a good lead into psychoanalysis. I mean, I would have you take the exam, but considering you're my personal student, you don't have to. I've already guaranteed your spot in Class 1A. Just hearing those words made Midoriya giddy. It was still almost impossible to believe that he was going to be an official student at UA. The next day, Izuku woke up the second his alarm rang. He quickly jumped out of bed, rushed through his routine, and sat on his couch to wait. Bouncing a leg, he looked at the time on his phone, only to realize that he had more than 3 hours before the exam. Much less excited, he went back up to his room and pulled up the news, hoping to get some work done before his escort arrived. He ran downstairs as soon as he heard the door shut, only to find that it had been his mother leaving. Geez, I really need to calm down. Okay, back to work. Then, a few seconds later, the doorbell rang, which jolted him from his thoughts, and he raced to the door. He ripped it open with far too much force, facing the hero before him with a large grin on his face. Hi Fatgum, sir. Midoriya stuttered and stared at the high-level hero. Hello, I'm gonna assume that you are Midoriya Izuku. Fatgum questioned, and Midoriya nodded his head. Great, come with me. Together, they closed the door and walked down towards his car. It was a sleek black color and obviously high-tech. Fatgum opened the door, and Midoriya scrambled inside. Fatgum then squished into the front seat, after making himself smaller. So, Midoriya, we'll need to go to your school first. Mind giving me the name? Oh, of course. It's Aldera Middle School. Midoriya responded. Aldera. Fatgum started the car and pulled into the street. I know it. Seemed like a good school. Yeah, if you're not quirkless, then it's just a nightmare. A few minutes later, they arrived in front of Midoriya's school. Wow, driving is a lot faster than walking. Usually it would take me 30 minutes to get here. So, let's go get you signed out. Fatgum reached for his door and Midoriya panicked. No, it's fine. I can go myself. They'll let me sign myself out. You don't need to bother. Midoriya stumbled through his words, trying to convey the feeling of please don't come with me. What school would let a kid sign out by himself? Plus, it's no problem, Midoriya. I have time. I'm coming with you. Fatgum pushed open the door and Midoriya did the same. Almost immediately, his classmates locked on to the fact that a hero was there, and that he was with Midoriya. Midoriya, finally getting yourself locked up, I see. One yelled. Thanks, Fatgum. We really owe you for taking out the trash. Fatgum looked horrified at what the students were saying. Midoriya just stared at the ground. I bet he's getting taken in cause a hero saw him try to kill himself. The little shit bastard. H-A-H-A. Another voice shouted from behind them, snickering. Midoriya, let's move quickly. I want to get out of this place as soon as possible. Fatgum sped up, making Midoriya move faster as well. In record time, Midoriya was signed out and back in the car. I guess being a hero really does have its perks. No one dared to question him. Once inside the safety of the car, the hero turned to face him. Midoriya, what was that? I think you know what that was. Midoriya whispered back. I need to hear you say it. Are you being bullied? Midoriya nodded, but Fatgum kept staring at him. You have to say it. I can't do anything without a verbal response. Why does he care? It doesn't matter. He won't do anything anyway. I'm not worth it. Yes, I'm being bullied. Fatgum turned back towards the front and started the car. Well, I guess it's time to talk to Nezu then. Good thing we're already going to UA. The car pulled up to UA's back entrance. The ride had been silent, both of them too lost in thought to notice. They stepped out of the car and made their way into the school, walking through the halls until they reached Nezu's office. After knocking swiftly on the door, they found it unlocked and moved inside, taking a seat on the couch. Were you aware, Fatgum began, that Midoriya is being aggressively bullied and suicide baited at his school? Midoriya flinched and looked towards the ground. Don't bother, he won't care. No, the principal responded coldly. I was in fact not made aware of this. Care to explain? Both heads turned to Midoriya, who looked about ready to crawl into a hole and die. There's not much to explain really. I'm quirkless and, yeah God, that went awful. And I thought I'd gotten better with my stuttering. What was that? Why are they still talking about this? Midoriya, I don't want to come off as intrusive or rude, but that wasn't nothing. Fatgum seemed scared, as if he was going to set Izuku off somehow. The second they saw you, they began to taunt you and insinuate that you were either an awful person or had severe depression. It's concerning to say the least. Look, it's nothing really. And I mean, I just had this conversation with Shinszo a few days ago. I really don't need to have it again. Nezu leveled him with a glare. What's the difference between saving Shinszo from his bullies and saving yourself from yours? Why let this go on for however long? I want you to give me one good, logical reason why you haven't turned in these kids before I go and do it myself. I mean, in the beginning. It was because there weren't any cameras. Midoriya didn't look up from the ground. But then it was just too much effort. No, nothing was going to come from it anyway. Plus, it's better if they who hurt me, because then they aren't hurting anyone else. And then it's not like anyone would have believed me anyway. They never did before, at least. The last part was whispered under his breath, but the two adults heard it anyway. Well, that is all going to change. Nezu leaned back into his chair. Alder is going to dread the day they got on my bad side. His words were so final that Midoriya was forced to believe them, which went against everything he believed. Oh god, this is going to be a disaster. An alarm went off near Nezu's paw and he shut it off. Well, enough chit-chat. We have an exam to watch. I guess it's time I leave then. Fatgum headed towards the door. Nice meeting you, Midoriya. I hope we can see more of each other. He pulled the door open and left. Nezu moved towards the door and motioned Midoriya to follow him. The two then made their way to the room that held the recommendation students. There were 6 in total. However, Midoriya only recognized 2 of them, Shoto Todoroki and Shinszo Hitoshi, but the girl with the dark ponytail definitely rang a bell as well. I'm shocked Tenya isn't here. I know he's my age. I guess he's taking the normal exam. Probably wants to prove himself to his brother. Man, I've only seen him once on camera, but he really has an issue with rule breaking and anything not perfectly amazing and good. Oh right, I'm not here to just watch. I have to analyze their mental states. Okay, who should I owe? Oh god. Midoriya took one real look at the Todoroki boy and instantly knew something was severely wrong. Between the look in his eyes, his hard expression, the scar on his face, and the way he kept looking at his father, it was so obvious that Midoriya wanted to personally punch any and everyone who didn't instantly see it. Todoroki radiated abuse victims so heavily that he actually had to look away from the boy's dull, pained eyes in order to not cry. Midoriya had known that the man was abusing him, but he hadn't expected the young Todoroki to be like this. Midoriya didn't know if it was Endeavor himself who gave him that scar, but considering it was on his fire side, that wouldn't make any sense. Logically, shouldn't that side be fireproof? Then, freeze or burn maybe. Oh, and it's on his, oh my god. No wonder his mom is in a mental hospital. What did Endeavor do to her that would make her do that to him? I mean, it has to be his mom. I knew Endeavor was the fucking worst, but it's so much worse in person. He was shaken out of his muttering spiral by Nezu, who simply gave him a look that seemed to say, yeah, I see it too. Revenge will be drawn out and painful. Okay, so Todoroki has too many issues to deal with right now. Let's move on to the other people. After an analysis of the others in the room, he had deduced that the only other visible issues would be Ponytail Girl's clear self-confidence shortage and the tall, loud boy's attitude, which wasn't exactly an issue, but it was definitely not great for a hero to be so brash, loud, aggressive. It also seemed to either scare or annoy the others in the room. However, the tall kid also seemed to radiate a hatred of Endeavor and Todoroki. Let's go see what I can find out. But before Midoriya could get to that kid, a familiar face blocked his way. Shinszo. Hi, how are you? Midoriya ran up to the middle schooler and hugged him tightly. Terrible. I haven't slept and my anxiety is through the roof. The kid's words were deadpan, but their eyes were light. Oof, Midoriya scowled. In any case, are you excited? Didn't I just tell you I'm scared out of my mind? Anyway, are you going to take the exam as well? Shinszo asked, not quite believing that Midoriya wouldn't die going against the other contestants. No, I'm just doing some stuff for Nezu. Shouldn't you be doing that then? We wouldn't want you to get caught just talking to me. Caught? Don't know her. Shinszo pointed over to Nezu, obviously thinking about how the rat caught him. Okay, yeah, but now he's on my side. But he won't be if you don't do your job. Midoriya huffed and nodded his agreement, giving the perplet a good luck hug before scanning the room once more. Alright, let's get this party started. First off, dude with a probably unhealthy amount of hate for Todoroki. So, what's your name? Midoriya left Shinszo and creeped up on Attitude Boy. The boy whipped around and stared at him in surprise. My name is Sayurashi. Who are you? Midoriya flinched away from the influx of noise coming off of the hopeful UA student. God, he's like a walking headache. Midoriya Izuku. Midoriya glanced around and was happy to see that the Todorokis were nowhere near them. So, what do you have against the Todoroki family? Inasa immediately looked annoyed. I guess it's a sore subject. Endeavor is a terrible hero. He doesn't have the passion to be a true hero. I mean, I've got to agree with the terrible hero part. Inasa looked at Midoriya in surprise, but Endeavor has plenty of passion. I mean, not for the correct things, like being a good person and not accidentally killing hundreds of people, but he has passion for being the best. So, that specific emotion isn't an issue. And besides, heroes don't need passion. A pause, and Midoriya rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. Anyway, thought I would give you a little life lesson from a fellow recommendation student. Me, a recommendation student. I mean, kinda I am, but not in this situation. Thank you for your wisdom. I have realized the error in my thinking. Inasa bowed, almost hitting his head on the floor in the process, and started to move away from Midoriya. Nope, I've got more wisdom. Can't back out now. Inasa looked slightly worried, but stayed where he was. What's your deal with Todoroki? He has Endeavor's eyes. He doesn't care about anyone other than himself. Inasa glared at the younger Todoroki. What the fuck? His eyes. There is something wrong with this guy if he judges a person based off of their eyes. Okay, I'm not gonna touch the eye thing for a few seconds. Have you ever met the guy? Inasa slowly shook his head. Oh my god, you're an idiot. For one, I'll have you know that Todoroki has lived a worse life than you will ever know. So, give him the benefit of the doubt. Second, don't judge a person you don't know. Third, let's talk about judging someone because they have the same eyes as a person you hate. Don't. He's Endeavor's son. It's not a mystery as to why he has his eyes. They're related. Don't get me wrong. Being related to a flaming trash can doesn't make you a flaming trash can. But it is possible to inherit a flaming trash can's eye color. Inasa stared at Midoriya as he started ranting. He looked like he wanted to step away, but every time he started, Midoriya would glare at him. So, what have we learned? Not to judge a person you don't know. Inasa mumbled. I even scared him into being quieter. If I had known that would work, I would have done it from the beginning. And I got mad enough not to be shy. It was a win-win. Good. Goodbye. Midoriya flipped around and walked away. Ugh, now I should probably talk to Todoroki. His eyes alight on the insecure girl. Or her. Sure, why not? Hi, how are you? Midoriya again snuck up on the student and she stepped a few steps away from him. I'm good. Shaking her head, she stared Midoriya head on and held out her hand. Yaoyorozu Momo. Midoriya shook her hand and answered, Midoriya Izuku. So, are you excited? Midoriya motioned around him. Oh, not really. More like nervous. Why? You got this far. That means you have to have the mind and ability to do well. Plus, there are always other schools. I'm sure one of them would be smart enough to accept someone like you. Someone like me? Yaoyorozu questioned. Someone smart and talented. Well, at least I'm more subtle this time. But now it sounds like I'm flirting. Which was not the point. Oh, well, maybe it will help in the long run. I mean, don't get me wrong, she's beautiful, but she's not really my type. You know what? I'm just gonna shut up now. Anyway, I'm sure you'll do great. See you later. Midoriya walked away and found an empty area of the room. He sighed, and then pulled out his phone. The chat for Ghost to smile back. Apparition, kids are literal demons. Denzawa, yes they are. Apparition, why do you teach them for a living? Denzawa, peer pressure. Salty, why are you talking about kids? Did you find a young villain? Apparition, yes, I'll send it later, but that's not why. Apparition, kids are bad at feelings and I have to fix their feelings. Apparition, which makes me want to stab something. Denzawa, this is why I don't care enough about my students to get invested in their mental states. Apparition, but now you have a son. Apparition, you have to deal with his shit. Apparition, also I've seen the UA security cams and we all know you're the class dad, so shut up. Salty, he's not wrong. Denzawa, why are you attacking me? And what do you mean you've seen the UA cams? Apparition, are you really surprised? I'm everywhere. Apparition is now offline. Midoriya pocketed his phone and turned to the main issue in the room. Todoroki Shoto, let's see what demons you've got locked up tight. Midoriya walked over to Todoroki, trying to startle him like he did the others, but Todoroki saw him before he could. What do you want? Todoroki spoke before Midoriya could, while staring him down, and Midoriya met his gaze head on. You know, you should try to be better than your sad excuse for a father. Todoroki's eyes widened and surprise colored his face. Maybe start with a hello next time. Hello, what do you want? Todoroki amended. I just wanted to talk. You seem like you have a lot of baggage. And I've heard that I'm a great therapist. No, I haven't, but sometimes lies are for the greater good. So, tell me all the incriminating evidence against Endeavor. Why do you care? Todoroki asked. Am I going to be a project for you? Slow down there. I'm not using you. And I just don't want you to feel alone. Plus, I hate Endeavor. Midoriya held up his hands in a placating manner. So, what have you got? Todoroki glared at Midoriya, the boy radiating distrust. Ugh, he's going to be annoying. However, although it took a bit more convincing, Midoriya finally got him to open up. Endeavor wants a perfect child to defeat All Might, so he's using me. I won't be his tool, which is why I refuse to use my fire. I won't give him the satisfaction of me using his power to become number one. Ah, so that's the issue, Midoriya mumbled. See, here's the thing. While the flaming trash can is your father, it's not his power. Your power is fire and ice. You're the only person that can use your fire, unless there is a pyrokinetic, but that's another issue. Don't let him control you. You're your own person, with your own gifts. You can use them for yourself. Todoroki looked startled and Midoriya smiled. That's probably all I should say for now. Have a great day, Todoroki Shoto. Midoriya turned around and disappeared into the depths of the classroom. He scanned the room for Nezu, and walked over to talk to the rat. That was the most awkward thing anyone has ever asked me to do. And I'm pretty positive Yaoyorozu thought I was flirting with her, but I wasn't. Sensing that he was going to go on a tangent, Midoriya put his head in his hands and groaned. Like, I'm fine with just analyzing them on the sidelines, but talking to them was just ugh. Thankfully, I only had to talk to 3 of them. The others looked to be mentally sound, but I could be wrong. Nezu looked on in amusement. Well, at least it was good practice. You never know when you're going to have to do stuff like that. I'm going to be an underground hero. Exactly my point. Underground heroes talk to people more often than you'd think. Usually vigilantes, though. Nezu looked around and saw the students looked more confused than they did before, although their eyes still had determination for the exam. I suppose that could have gone much better. You definitely need to work on your tact. Hey, maybe I'll just give you lessons with present Mike. In any case, the exam will be starting soon, so we should get to the commentator's booth. Midoriya nodded, and so they both walked out of the room. Midoriya already knew where they were going, courtesy of Shinszo, but it was still nice to have a guide. As they walked, Midoriya allowed his thoughts to wander. Nezu was certainly right about my lack of tact. I should have had some more introduction and then slowly went into their issues. Plus, I doubt they even listened to me. I mean, I'm just some random student that went up to them and told them to fix themselves. Well, they needed to hear it, so hopefully it won't backfire too badly. As the greenette sat down, he looked out of the glass and saw the examinees start getting ready. They all looked very concentrated and ready to go. Well, most of them. Midoriya looked at Inasa and saw that he was conflicted. Oh God, I hope that what I said isn't gonna affect how he does. Then, the boy walked over towards Todoroki. Midoriya couldn't see what they were talking about, but he did see Todoroki look very surprised and then shake hands. Inasa then went back to his place in the line looking a lot calmer. Oh, thank goodness. Not quite sure what happened, but I'll count it as a win in my book. As soon as Present Mike saw that all of the recommendation students were ready, he started to detail how the event would go. Might as well analyze their quirks while you're here. Nezu reminded him from his seat beside Midoriya's. Midoriya nodded, as if I wasn't already planning on doing that, and flipped open his notebook. As the event went on, Midoriya couldn't help himself from filling 2 entire notebooks with notes. Their quirks are so cool. The teachers around him had all subconsciously moved to the edges of the room, his mutterfest scaring them off, but Nezu still sat and listened to every word as he speed wrote. The recommendation exam passed in a blur, at least for Midoriya. Soon the only people left in the school were a still rambling Midoriya and a somewhat fed-up Nezu. Shinszo was amazing, as always, but did you see what Todoroki did with his ice in that last part? Boom. Yes, I know, I was there. I know, but it was so cool. Literally. Hahaha. Yes, it was very cool. And Yaoyorozu was so smart. She made a cannon. How does one memorize the atomic structure of a cannon? She's definitely getting in. We'll see. Anyway, Inasa was pretty cool. Now that he got past his whole endeavor and his relatives should burn in hell thing, he's got great control over his wind. I think I've got about 6 pages on him alone. That's almost a new record. Actually, not really close to a new record, but still impressive. Show me them. Show you what? The notebook. It's your job to tell me what you analyzed. Oops, I forgot. Here you go. Midoriya shoved the 2 notebooks towards him and smiled. Sorry about going on the tangent. I got excited. I could see that. Nezu responded while he grabbed the notebooks. Thank you. Aizawa will bring you back home, so don't keep him waiting. Okay, thank you, Nezu. Wait, Denzawa. Midoriya turned to see Eraserhead glaring at him. I'm going to die. Don't be suspicious. Don't act like Apparition. Don't sass. Do not sass. Do not aggravate Denzawa. Don't point any clues towards me being Apparition. Midoriya and Aizawa walked to Eraserhead's car, Midoriya panicking in the back and Aizawa ignoring him in the front. Midoriya repeated his inner chant as he opened the back door. He watched with fearful eyes as Aizawa opened up the front door and they both slid into their seats. Silently, Aizawa started the car and pulled into the street. I never thought that being alone with Aizawa would be this awkward. Oh, who am I kidding? Of course it was going to be. Thank you. Aizawa broke the silence with the statement. For what? Midoriya answered. What does he mean? We haven't even talked. I can't have given it away. Oh good, what if Henoshi for being friends with Hitoshi? I'm in the clear. Thanks to you they felt comfortable enough to come out to me and my husband. While that sentence was gay, I mean, I'm glad I helped. What did I say? Do not act sarcastic or sassy. God's social anxiety. Why leave me now? You work fucking fine around everyone else. It's just my luck that you skedaddle when it's Denzawa. Of all fucking people. Where is Shinszo though? As Ashi is taking them out for ice cream. The car devolved into silence once again. And again, Eraserhead broke it. So, why were you at the exam? Are you a recommendation student as well as Nezu's personal student? No. I was there to do a job for Nezu. I would probably fail that exam if I took it. I'm more of a computer person, an informant, analysis type. I inform people of my analysis, which is why I was at the exam. I was informing Nezu of my thoughts after I analyzed the student's mental state. Where the fuck is my brain-to-mouth filter? I mean, hello. Honestly, I feel like I just outed myself. Or made myself look like the biggest idiot alive. Probably both. God, that was a train wreck. Okay. Is this your apartment complex? Midoriya looked out the window and relief flooded him at the sight of his home. Yeah, thanks for the ride. Bye. Midoriya didn't let Aizawa reply as he leapt out of the car and raced towards his apartment. Once inside, he slid down the door and onto the floor. That was the biggest disaster ever. What the fuck? Do I need to practice with a photo of him or something, cause clearly there's some work to be done? I mean, logically I guess it's because I know him so well that I feel comfortable around him, but still, what was that? Midoriya sighed and flopped from the doorway and into his room. Okay, I had almost finished a case before Fatgum picked me up, so I should probably start on that. Midoriya reached behind his bookcase and pulled out the file. It wasn't as big as most other cases. Endeavor's was around 50 pages, but it had enough evidence to get the criminal in jail. The villain was named Lioness and, as the name suggested, can turn into a lion. Wow, people's names are so unoriginal these days. But I guess their most have been taken already, so that makes sense. He spilled all of the information onto his desk and started to sift through it. Okay, I left off at camera number 21, so let's start at camera number 22. And let's go to camera footage from a while ago. Hopefully I can find her base quickly. Sadly, that didn't work out too well. Camera after camera, Lioness kept walking. Is she nocturnal? She's been walking for 8 hours. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, y'all villains hate me. Denzawa, what have you done this time? Apparition, I'm trying to catch a baddie but she won't stop walking. Salty, I'm afraid I don't understand. Apparition, NVM. Apparition, nobody understands my pain. Denzawa, you sound like a whiny teenager. So, basically like all of my students. Are you 15? Apparition, you think a teenager could be this good? Apparition, shame on you. Denzawa, you're right. My students could never be this good. What was I thinking? Denzawa, you must just have the maturity of a 15-year-old. Apparition, oof RD. Apparition, anyway GTG baddie to catch. Apparition is now offline. 15 cameras later and Lioness finally stopped. Oh my god, finally. I thought I'd have to pull an all-nighter again. Contrary to popular belief, I do actually sleep at least an hour a day. Midoriya murmured to himself. Lioness slunk into a populated apartment and walked up the stairs. Boy, that's a well-known villain. How does no one recognize her? Midoriya hurriedly tried to switch to a camera inside the apartment complex, but he didn't have any backdoors created. Well, there goes my potential sleep. Midoriya stretched his arms and back, feeling and hearing about 10 joints pop and crackle, and turned to face his computer. He typed quickly and hacked into the camera faster than ever before, a new record of 5 minutes. I guess doing something around 500 times really makes a person get good at it. Oh, and Nezu teaching me. That helped too. Following her inside, he watched as she placed her keycard into the elevator slot and headed down to an unregistered floor. Bingo. There are no cameras below, so Izuku decided to send what he had to the pros and have them take care of it. It was definitely something. Speed watching through the rest of the couple days until the cameras were live, he could see a large group of well-known villains entering and leaving the apartment. How the hell did no one find this shit yet? Like what? Anyways, time to contact the pros. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition has sent a location. Apparition, a hideout for a group of villains containing Lioness, Creatin, and Dragari. Salty, a group. What do you mean? Apparition, I mean what I said. Apparition, there have been some low-level villains entering and exiting the same apartment in these 3 over the past 3 days. Apparition, kinda stupid but makes my life easier. Denzawa, thanks for the info. Denzawa, I'll get right on it. I'm in the area. Salty, I'll send some people to join you. Denzawa, thanks. Denzawa is now offline. Apparition, it feels good to have 17 hours of work appreciated. Denzawa is now online. Denzawa, 17. Apparition is now offline. Midoriya woke up the next day with much more energy than he usually had after that amount of sleep. Or, rather, the ability to pretend that he had more energy than usual. I guess my physical training has helped in more ways than one. Being able to continue doing stuff while being dead on my feet is a good skill to have. Midoriya winced. That sentence sounded better before it was completed. Although he was usually doing stuff with Nezu, Midoriya was in fact doing physical training. He was learning some fighting styles and weapons with Midnight. The reason for this being she also doesn't really like to resort to violence, liking to use her quirk before things get that bad. But no matter if Midoriya didn't really enjoy violence, he still needed to be able to defend himself and others, so he had learned to use a lot of different tools such as grappling hooks, smoke and capture bombs, and even a large bat. Also how to walk and fight in heels because why not? I mean, it's like having knives on your feet. So again, why not? To go along with that, he had Parker lessons with Aizawa twice a week, mostly because the pro hero didn't have a class. However, those were the classes he most feared. After the terrible car incident, as he had become prone to calling it, Midoriya did not like interacting with Aizawa unless it was through text or in a large group. Being the quick-learned Midoriya was, he had made more strides in these things than most people did in a year. I also gained some good muscle mass, so it's a win-win. Not that anyone really noticed the change. I wish they did, and then maybe left me alone. I mean, I could always, fight back, but that would end poorly for me. They'd probably suspend me for bullying. Honestly, yikes. Plus, doing that could ruin Nezu's master plan. Wouldn't want that to happen. God, it's still such a weird concept. I mean, someone doing something productive against the bullies. Who's she? I mean, I know it's probably just an excuse to gain revenge on humanity and all that, but still, Midoriya broke out from his thoughts and left his room. As per normal, he opened the fridge and saw that nothing was in it. What am I supposed to do now? We're almost out of cereal and I don't have any money. Plus, Mom isn't going to do anything. She eats out most days. And she has a food court for most meals at work. Oof, I'm starting to think I should tell Nezu I need to eat lunch there. Maybe Luncrush would make me something. Probably not. Why would he? Double yikes. Midoriya yanked himself out of the self-deprecating thoughts and started to make himself breakfast. He poured some cereal into a cracked bowl, but couldn't add milk because there was none. Sighing, he poured some tap water into his bowl and ate the mediocre breakfast. Usually this would be when his mom would quickly look into the room, see him, and then leave. Oddly enough, the house was silent. Maybe she left early. Then he got an idea. God, I really shouldn't do that, brain. No way. Fine. Sneaking into his mom's room and seeing no one there, he quickly opened her dresser drawer and stole $50. If she's not going to consciously feed me, then she'll have to not know. Slipping out of the house, he headed to school. Content that he would be able to eat for the next week or so. I mean, she can eat the food I buy too, so it's not stealing or anything. When he arrived home, there was a cop car out front of his house. Oh no. As he slipped in, hugging the groceries to his chest, he was met with the sight of his mother talking to a cop. She looked to be in hysterics and was sobbing about something. Making his way into the kitchen to put his groceries in the fridge, he heard his mother scream his name out. Izuku, I knew it was you. Ungrateful brat. Stealing my money and eating all our food. I have to work 3 jobs to pay for you and you go taking my money. He looked at her in confusion and fear as she slumped into the couch crying. What the heck? This is the first time she talks to me for a month and it's to yell at me. It was only $50. It's not my fault you're not feeding me. The cop looked back up at him, at the groceries, and down at her before swiftly standing and moving toward him. Hey, what are you doing? Was all he could make out as he was pinned and handcuffed. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. Izuku was stunned as he was dragged out of his house and shoved into the police car. He could see his mom sobbing from the doorway. Her disgusted, angry eyes looked smug through her tears. He silently turned to face the front as he was driven to the Masutafu police station. Let it be said that sitting in a holding call with 17 villains you just got arrested is not fun. Midoriya looked around at the faces of many of the small-time villains he had seen in Lioness's apartment complex. I'm so fucking lucky they don't know it was me who put them here, and that they're wearing Quirk-suppressing cuffs. So, what's an innocent-looking runt like you doing here? One of the villains, Viper I think. Wow, real fucking original man, spoke up and Midoriya flinched away. Bo borrowed some of my mom's moan money to buy groceries cause she hasn't fed me in a while and she called the cops. Midoriya stuttered quietly, not looking at any of the people near him. Is that really illegal? Midoriya could hear the confusion in his voice. Like you would know. But damn, and they call us villains. At least we don't let children starve. Another villain spoke up. I mean, technically you could cause that. You steal money which who hurts people and can cause people to end not be able to feed their children. Silence coated the cell and Midoriya curled in on himself. Man, you have guts for a wimpy teenager, Yeah, that's fair I guess. Midoriya Izuku. He heard a cop say from the other side of the bars. He hadn't even heard the cop walk up. Why yes, sir. So you don't have anyone listed as a contact and your mother isn't paying bail. Is there any other contact you'd like to give us before we give you a trial? Yes, sir. Midoriya answered. Well, who's your contact? Nezu, sir. What? You heard me. Nezu, principal of UA. Sir. Yeah, sure, okay, give me a sec. The officer walked off with a yeah, right, please look on his face. He looked around at the silent cell. Of all the fake contacts, that's a new one. A villain laughed and Midoriya didn't reply. Wait, are you serious? This time, Midoriya nodded. Holy shit. It was only 20 minutes before the officer returned with a murderous Nezu in tow. The villains around him shivered at the pure rage he was giving off. Midoriya, I would like your side of the story. Now, while the others were terrified of the rat, Izuku was used to his company and instantly felt his anxiety melting away, replaced by his usual sass. Well, you see, sir, my mother decided that instead of just hating me for not having a quirk, she needs to pretend I don't exist and not buy food ... ever. So I, like a rational, responsible person, bought myself food with her money, the thing it's supposed to be being used for. I mean, as a single mother, I'm sure you could sue her for insurance fraud at this point, with the fact that she hasn't even talked to me or fed me in around a month. Anyway, back to the story. She decides that me using her money to buy food is reasonable grounds for having me arrested for robbery. Not only that, but I was never questioned. The cop that arrested me, Minda Ito, just saw my mom crying and fucking pinned and cuffed me. By the end of his story, the villains were either enraged or impressed. Nezu looked like he was going to murder every citizen in Japan, and the cop looked mortified. Well, I'm sure I can fix this little misunderstanding and get your mother in jail. Nezu turned to the cop and began to talk, but Midoriya couldn't hear it over the rioting of his jail buddies, villains he captured. Yeah, put that bitch in jail. Whoa, protect the green bean. In the midst of the chaos, another detainee crept up to Midoriya. Ignore them. They've had nothing to do for a day. They're using you to have something to care about. It's fine. I'm just happy to have someone care about me. Midoriya smiled sadly and looked at Nezu. The poor cop next to him looked traumatized and quickly sprinted away at Nezu's command. Nezu turned back to a teared-up Midoriya and spoke. I'll get you out of here. Don't worry. A little while later, Midoriya was moved into an interrogation room along with his mother, Nezu, and dad number 2. In the interrogation room, Midoriya and Ko looked everywhere except where her son was sitting. She usually alternated from glaring at Nezu or she just stared at Tsukachi. Wow, this is a lot more awkward than the other cell. Unsurprisingly, at least to Nezu, he had made friends with most of his cellmates at that point. Well, I would personally like to apologize. Nezu spoke up and Izuku looked at him, surprised. I didn't have the time to ruin Aldera Middle School yet, and have only been able to threaten them for the time being. Not only that, but I let my personal student be neglected in his home, which is why we are here today, to fix that issue. And Ko looked enraged at Nezu's speech. I am not neglecting my son. I have no idea why this has become so blown out of proportion. All I wanted was some retribution for Izuku stealing my money. Inko stared down the rat and the police officer. That issue has already been resolved, Ms. Midoriya. Nezu has paid bail. Tsukachi spoke for the first time. If you didn't know him, you wouldn't be able to tell, but the detective was also fuming. In the background, Izuku could be heard mumbling, "You didn't have to do that, Nezu." Hearing this, the rat walked over to comfort his student and dad number 2 continued to speak. We are here to discuss the concerning things that Mr. Midoriya has said about you, which there is evidence to support. Also, I have a quirk that tells if someone is lying, so please don't bother doing so. Why you can call me Izuku. All eyes, except for his mother, turned to him and he stumbled to add more to his sentence. It would be less confusing. For once, I am so happy to be in a stressful and anxiety-inducing situation. Well, not really, but at least I won't sound like Apparition. Oh my god, my mother is getting interrogated and this is what I'm thinking of. What are you trying to say? Pull crept into Inko's voice and Izuku knew the detective was finally getting to her. I am saying, ma'am, that you are being investigated for child abuse and child neglect. What do you have to say on those accusations? Dad number 2 could obviously feel the tension in the air and met her gaze head on. I have to say that they are complete bullshit. My son is a big part of my life, but being a single mother, I'm gone often and forget things. I'm not perfect, but I have never raised a hand to my child. Midoriya retorted, and Izuku knew that all of it was accurate except the first sentence. She never once said that she forgot to get groceries, which would get her caught, and she has never hit me. She got around everything. Thankfully, Tsukachi noticed the possible lie as well, even if his quirk didn't. So, are you saying that forgetting to buy food for your son is a common occurrence? Dad number 2 always looking out for me, even if he doesn't know it. That thought put a warm feeling inside the Vigilante's chest. No, I'm not saying that. Please don't put words in my mouth. For being such an open person, Midoriya and Co. was very skilled at misdirection. I'm going to ask you a question and I need you to answer with a simple yes or no. Do you ever intentionally let Midoriya Izuku go hungry? Tsukachi's eyes narrowed as Inko hesitated. No, she's still trying to get away with it. Midoriya turned towards dad number 2 and tried to plead with his eyes. She's lying. Please, please believe me. I know you're a good person. Please don't think it's worthless. Please care. I need this. For once, don't let her get away with it. Tsukachi doesn't return Izuku's gaze, but he seems to hear the boy's plea. Lie. I told you, don't bother lying. I'll know. Now, let me ask it again. Are you neglecting your son, Midoriya Izuku? He's still trying. He cares. Tears began to streak down Izuku's face. Things are finally starting to change, all thanks to Nezu. You don't understand. Having a quirkless son is terrible for me. All of my friends separated from me. The pity glances I get at work, I can't handle it. Inko tried to plead her case, but both Nezu and Tsukachi didn't seem to care. I wasn't about to pay hard-earned money to feed someone who destroyed my life. Midoriya, please shut up. You've said enough. Finally, Tsukachi turned to face the younger Midoriya. Now, Izuku, have you ever purposely done anything to hurt your mother? No, Midoriya quietly whispered. Well, I don't think we need anything more today. Do you agree, detective? Tsukachi gave an affirmative and Nezu continued. In that case, it would please me if you could escort Midoriya to her cell. I'd like to speak with Izuku alone if at all possible. Thank you for coming, Tsukachi. Sure. Tsukachi grabbed Midoriya Inko, cuffed her hands, and began dragging her out of the room. Please, ma'am, don't make this harder than it has to be. You are under arrest for child abuse, and making me drag you won't change that. With that, they exit the room, but not before Inko gave one last hateful glare to her son. Did that just happen? Did Salty actually do that? Is she gone? Is she finally gone? Midoriya continued to silently cry, overwhelmed by what had just occurred. You're free, Izuku. I'm sorry I didn't do it sooner. Nezu walked over and put a comforting paw on Midoriya's shoulder. Midoriya fell out of his chair and hugged the small animal. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. Nezu returned the hug and murmured, You're welcome. It's okay now. Nothing bad is going to happen to you again. Nezu slid out of the hug and turned serious. However, we do have to discuss what to do about housing. Oh, I forgot about that. Just so you know, Aizawa would probably be happy to adopt you. Oh, please no. That would be a dead giveaway, and I don't know how I would get anything done, but I believe that would not be the best option. Another option is living at UA and becoming my ward. Yes please. That would be amazing. Or is it too good to be true? Is this a trick? No, Nezu wouldn't do that to me. I trust him. I trust him. Oh my god. However, that will only be available when you are accepted into UA, so in only a few months. I can go into foster C care. Midoriya interrupted Nezu. It would be the best option. That way, and no one has to go out of their way for a while. It's fine with me. Plus, in infiltrating the SIS system, Ku could help me find some good villains. Nezu laughed at the last part, surprising Midoriya. I suppose you are correct. Well, if that is what you want, then I'll get that taken care of. Thank you, Nezu, for everything. Midoriya muttered. Anything for my favorite student. Plus, I couldn't possibly give you an excuse not to finish the homework I assign. And you have to get 2 villains today, correct? Well, technically 1 villain. You did just put 1 in jail. I mean it, Nezu. Thank you for everything. Thank you for believing in me, even though I'm quirkless. Thank you for not turning me in. Thank you. As Midoriya and Nezu walked out of the police station, another thought occurred to the boy. It's strange. It doesn't feel weird to me that my mother's gone. Maybe I took calling all the adults in my life dad a little too seriously. Worth it. The next couple weeks were a messy blur. Between his mother's case, foster papers, finding a new school, and his vigilante work, Izuku was running around like a headless chicken. Having no processing time certainly didn't help his mental state either. By his 3rd early morning breakdown, he had had enough and finally decided to step back. Okay, maybe I should try meditation. Hypnosis. I don't know, something relaxing. Maybe I'll ask Nezu. Oh yeah, there's that. I'm fucking living with Nezu. I mean, who knew that when your mom was finally in the process of being arrested for years of obvious trauma and neglect, and the people putting her in jail or your father figure and teacher would cause you to move in with someone who actually care about you. Who knew you? I mean, to be fair, it's only until I get a foster home, but still. And then there's the fact that Aldera is being slowly but surely torn apart. I guess I'm just not used to anyone trying to even pretend to care or help. I mean, it's the whole reason I went vigilante in the first place. The fact that Tsukachi is actually trying to help someone like me makes me wonder if it would be okay to reveal myself. I mean, I want to thank him so badly, but I'm scared. What if this is all an act like those bitch boys at Aldera who used to pretend to be my friends and then ditch me? Or maybe it's cause he and Dadzawa are onto me and want me to confess. Or maybe he's doing it for his reputation. Or maybe he wants me to owe him so that he gets all the credit for my work in the future. Or maybe... Izuku was interrupted from his spiraling panic by a knock on his door. Hey Izuku, I'm making tea. Would you like some? Sure Dad, I mean Nezu. Shit, didn't mean that. Okay then, I'm just going to go make tea. Midoriya crab crawled off of his bed head first and out of his room and down the hall. He quickly entered the kitchen and Nezu whipped around. At this angle, the rat was only a tiny bit taller than his ward. Midoriya, Nezu asked, a concerned look on his face. Scuttle, scuttle, bitch. Midoriya flipped upwards and walked to grab the kettle that had just started to whistle. Here, let me help you with that. He shuffled over and poured the boiling water into the china cups, taking a seat on Nezu's normal-sized, tiny couch. I'm short, okay, I get it, shut up. He began to pleasantly chat with Nezu. They were interrupted by the rat's phone ringing. Hello, Tsukachi, Nezu greeted. Good of you to call. I have another case for you. Midoriya could almost feel the groan that came from the detective, even if he couldn't actually hear it. Yes, that does mean more paperwork. But don't worry, it will be right up your alley. We shall be taking down a Quirk discriminatory school. Midoriya almost choked on his tea and looked towards the rat. Man, I forgot about that. I honestly still can't believe that he's actually doing something about it. Nezu, although hearing Midoriya's intake of breath, continued on as if nothing was happening. It is called Alder Middle School. A pause. No, you're not going to have to go on a wild goose chase for evidence. That was only one time, Tsukachi. Let it go. In any case, I already have all the evidence you'll need. Keep a lookout. Nezu cheered into the phone and then hung up. You're getting dad number 2 involved in this. Again, won't it seem suspicious? Nezu turned to face him and sipped his tea. He's one of the best detectives I know. I've asked him to do a lot for me before, so he won't connect the dots. Then a scary grin crossed the rodent's face. Wait, dad number 2. Does that make me dad number 3? Midoriya promptly spit out his tea. Nezu's grin widened. I think you'd be number 4 actually. Fatgum claimed that role when you weren't listening. It was during the recommendation exam. Why do I have so many dads? All I wanted was a supporting family. Now I have an attack squad. No, I took you in as a student first. He can't call dibs if he was after me. Are we seriously arguing about this? But he brought Aldera to your attention and stood up for me. Oh, now that I think about it, you might be number 5. President Mike is married to Denzawa after all. I put your mother in jail. Technically that was dad number 2. I took you on as a student and you are currently living in my home. You got me there. Fine, you'll be dad number 4, because Denzawa, Salty, and past Mike have to be before you, but Fatgum will be placed after you. Why are you called present Mike past Mike? Midoriya snickered and didn't answer. I'll figure it out. Anyway, why is he before me? The beauty of marriage. But he hasn't even done anything for you. Denzawa has done enough for both of them and they're taking care of Shinszo. Anyway, thanks for the tea. With that, Midoriya skipped out of the room and headed to his computer. Time to do vigilante work. Midoriya cracked his back and looked to see what the time was. The bright alarm clock flashed 3:21 and Midoriya flopped onto his bed. Why does it always take so much time to do vigilante work? Ugh, I'm thirsty. Emma, go get a drink of water. Okay, G it up. Let's go. Midoriya rolled out of the bed and hit the floor as softly as one can when falling off of a bed. Then he shuffled to the door and exited his room. While doing this, a crash sounded from the living room. What the fuck? Is Nezu still awake? Rolling his blanket around himself into a cocoon, he tossed himself onto the railing and flew down the stairs before flying 3 feet into an armchair. Wow, I would never have been able to do that before I started training at UA. He opened his eyes to see a man standing in his living room. I am Tree Boy. With my nature powers you cannot stop me. Don't try to resist. Okay, for one, if you're going to break into my house don't be crashing and yelling. I was about to go to sleep, and also, you have nature powers. And you named yourself fucking Tree Boy. The Groot wannabe stopped what he was doing and stared at Midoriya. Don't insult my name, and don't try to stop me from stealing your stuff. If you do, you'll die. Damn, I came down to get water, not death. Again, the robber stopped what he was doing in surprise. Using this to his advantage, Midoriya rolled off the chair and ducked behind it. From there, it was a straight shot to the kitchen, which he could do without the Tree Boy ever seeing him. Once he arrived in the kitchen, Nezu's ward stopped at the sink and began to fill up a glass with water. I wonder if I should do anything about Shrub Youngster. Nah, Nezu probably has it covered. The glass was finally full and Midoriya turned off the water. Sighing, it is way too late for this. Midoriya walked back towards the living room. You cannot defeat me with water. In fact, it only makes me stronger. Izuku stood there staring at the guy as he shifted uncomfortably before taking a long and very loud sip and sitting back on the banister. Bitch, don't take my water. It's not for you. Sleep deprivation really makes you say stupid things. He quickly rolled up the banister and made his way to Nezu's room. Not even trying to be quiet at this point, Midoriya burst open Nezu's door and walked in. Nezu was found sitting at his desk watching the live living room footage. Oh, hello Midoriya. How are you? Tired? So, you already know about Sapling Sun? Yes, the police are coming. Yes, great. Good night. Sleep well. God, the shit I go through. The next day Midoriya woke up very well rested. Hold up, did Tree Boy actually happen? Nah, that was a dream. Midoriya shook his head. and walked downstairs, still in his pajamas. Then he took in the scene that was the living room. Okay, maybe not a dream. Ignoring the mess that was the living room, the hacker sat down and pulled out his phone. Chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition. Wow, I'm at 94,107 arrests. Apparition, are you guys proud? Salty, you know what would make us more proud? Denzawa, yes, you should quit while you're ahead. Apparition, hounding me for my identity again, I see. Apparition, can't believe you. Apparition is now offline. Unnamed chat. Midoriya Izuku. Hey Shinszo Hitoshi. Hey Midoriya. What's up? Midoriya Izuku. Well, my mom got arrested. Midoriya Izuku. So now I'm living with Nezu. Midoriya Izuku. And the living room's a mess because someone broke in last night. Midoriya Izuku. And I'm not sure what's gonna be happening with my schooling and all. Midoriya Izuku. Cause Nezu's trying to take them down for quirk discrimination. Midoriya Izuku. But I'm good. Ew. Shinszo Hitoshi. I am good. Shinszo Hitoshi. Wait, you're living with Nezu. Midoriya Izuku. It's a blast. Shinszo Hitoshi. Well then. Midoriya looked up to see Nezu padding down the stairs. The rat smiled once he saw Izuku in the living room and sat down across from him. Sleep well? Yeah, actually. Good. So, we need to figure out what you're going to be doing now that Aldera is going down and your mother is in jail. Midoriya sighed. Yeah, that's true. Thanks for letting me stay with you for now. But for schooling, he shrugged. Well, I am already technically fostering you. And if you would feel more comfortable, we can always find an online school for the next 3-ish months until UA. Are you serious? Izuku looked like he was about to cry. You'd actually invite me into your home for the next 3 months? Of course, I've already claimed my title as dad number 4 after all, and you deserve to be cared for. I'd be happy to be your guardian for now. To the shock of both of them, tears actually did start to fall from Izuku's eyes. Suddenly, all of the pent-up emotion from the past weeks flooded the gates and burst out. Why are you being so nice? Why are you saving me again and again? Why are you wasting your time on me? Why do you care? I don't get it. Because you're a hero. You are the definition of a true hero. You save people anonymously because you care even though you don't get anything in return. When others need you, even the students of UA who were crying in closets, you step in and save them. Everyone deserves to have that. You're a great kid, Izuku. Nezu placed his paw on Midoriya's head as the tears streamed down his face and ruffled his poofy hair. So is that a yes? Yes, that sounds like a dream come true, Don Nezu. Honestly, just call me dad number 4 at this point. We all want it. Oh, okay. I won't lie to you. I still don't understand why so many people suddenly want to help, but thank you. It's my pleasure. Now, I've already gotten links to 5 online school options. I'll email them to you and you can pick which ones you prefer. However, even with this new learning environment, your personal classes with me will not stop. Nezu smiled and Midoriya remembered why people are so scared of him. Of course, I understand. A knock interrupted Midoriya. Both the rat and the human blinked and looked at each other. Are you expecting anyone? No, you. Not that I know of. I'll go see who it is. Midoriya silently meandered to the front door and opened it. Shinszo, sup, can I come in? The purple-haired friend stood outside and Midoriya widened the gap to let them inside. How did you find me? Shinszo took off their shoes and closed the door behind them. I asked Aizawa where Nezu lived. He looked at me like I was insane, but told me. So, now I'm here. But why are you here? Midoriya led Shinszo to the living room that was now empty, but still a mess. Your mom just got arrested and now you're living with Nezu. I came to see how my best friend was doing. Shinszo had a concerned look in their eyes, but Midoriya lost sight of it when they turned around. Also, what happened here? Oh, tree boy, or something stupid about a shrub and a kid, trashed it when trying to steal stuff. He got arrested real quick and I got a glass of water. Midoriya plopped on the couch and patted the spot next to him. Shinszo tried to navigate the chaos without stepping on anything, and overall he succeeded. The perplet then sat next to their friend and asked their question again. Not exactly sure what water has to do with that, but again, not what I came here for. How are you, Izuku? Midoriya remembers Tsukachi dragging his mom away, Nezu taking him in, Fatgum bringing up Aldera to Nezu, Aizawa driving him home and answers, I'm great. Well, good, because I brought Uno. I thought that would be a great way to ruin our friendship. Oh, what's that? I've never played. Shinszo looked at him like he'd killed their cat in front of them. Are you shitting in my soup right now? There's no way you've never played Uno. Well, to be fair, I haven't had friends or parents in my life since I was 4. Oof, that's rough, buddy. Anyway, Uno time. A deck of cards appeared from out of nowhere in Shinszo's hand. They started to shuffle them and Midoriya looked on. Sounds fun, but I still don't know how to play. Shinszo paused and turned to face Midoriya. Okay, so basically you can put down either a card of the same number or the same color. There are special cards, but those are pretty self-explanatory. The goal is to get rid of all of your cards. If you can't put down a card, then you take from the deck until you get one you can use. Makes sense. Yeah, that's easy enough. Shouldn't be too bad. Shinszo grinned. That's what you think now, but just wait. Midoriya became concerned and Shinszo went back to shuffling. What the fuck? Midoriya threw his cards down on the draw pile as Shinszo won for the 4th time. Language. His friend deadpanned and Midoriya glared at them. This is the 4th time you have won, and during it you made me draw 26 cards. I think I can curse this once. Midoriya flopped onto the ground and groaned. Shinszo smirked and began to shuffle the cards again. At least it hasn't lasted an hour yet. Midoriya stared at Shinszo and then laid back down with a loud thump. While all of this was going on, Nezu meandered in the room. Ah, Uno, such a fun game. Mind if I join? Nezu asked. Both Shinszo and Midoriya freezed. Nope, no way. I'm not letting a strategic mastermind play Uno with me. My ego can only take so much, Midoriya stated from the ground. Fair enough. I'll make tea then. Would you like some, Shinszo? Shinszo nodded and continued to shuffle. Nezu left the room and Shinszo spoke up. Mido, you just talked back to a literal god of chaos. How did you do that? Shinszo asked, really wanting to know. Spite and sleep deprivation. It also helped that Nezu wants to be called Dad number 4, so he's not that scary anymore. Dad number 4. Shinszo started to deal the cards while they watched Izuku with confusion. Yeah, there's Dad number 1, also known as Denzawa. Dad number 2 is Tsukachi, or Tsalti. Dad number 3 is Past Mike through Denzawa. Dad number 4 is Nezu. And Dad number 5 is Fatgum, Dadgum. Dadgum. I've got a lot of dads. I can see that. The purple-haired insomniac finished dealing the cards and motioned for Midoriya to pick them up. Since I won, I'll start. If you win again, I'm done. Well, now I don't know if I should intentionally sabotage myself or not. Shinszo played their card and the game began. I call bullshit. It cannot be possible to win 7 times in a row. Midoriya screamed while Shinszo laughed. Ha, I am the Uno god. Midoriya screamed like an enraged goose and launched himself at his friend. Shinszo barely managed to avoid the small green ball and began to run. Midoriya followed, still screeching. Shinszo, who had not seen Midoriya in many months, had not realized how fast the anxiety bean had gotten and was soon tackled to the ground. They then could not get back up, seeing that they were laughing too hard to breathe. Midoriya, how did you even make that noise? Shinszo questioned. Actually, never mind. The smaller you get the higher your pitch. The middle schoolers' laughter doubled at their own joke. Midoriya, on the other hand, was nonplussed. Shinszo had no time before the smaller boy picked him up and threw them over his shoulder. It would have been more intimidating if the taller kid's fingers hadn't almost touched the ground. I invite you to my house. It's not your house and you didn't invite me, Shinszo interrupted, not helping mollify Midoriya. Beating me at Uno every single round wasn't enough for you? Huh? You have to go and add insult to injury, don't you? I mean, it's a skill. Shinszo giggled and Midoriya threw them to the ground near the door. Shut up. You're a terrible person. A pause. Thanks for coming by, Shinszo. In a time, it was almost strange that high school was coming closer and closer. Because of this, Midoriya's training was kicked up a notch. Now that he was living with Nezu, the rat would randomly ask him riddles throughout the day, as well as post sticky notes on what he had to hack into. Midoriya would be going about his day, and then on the bathroom mirror there would be a sticky note that says medical history of China and McLean, and Midoriya would have to get that information by the end of the day. It was tiring to say the least. I mean, how am I supposed to find the medical history of some random American Disney actress from like 100 fucking years ago? Midnight also started working him harder. Instead of just teaching him basic moves and weapons, they started to spar every day. Sometimes with weapons, sometimes without. Still, Midnight was always full of praise, which made feeling like a truck ran you over a little more fulfilling. Aizawa, although he would never say it out loud, was also proud of Midoriya's improvement in Parker. They would now take longer routes, and more dangerous ones. Thankfully, Midoriya usually came out relatively unscathed from those workouts, except for the time Eraserhead started sparring with him on the middle of a roof. Recovery Girl had to see him afterwards. Midoriya was now pretty proficient in self-defense, Parker, metal bats, capture weapons, and tasers. This isn't to say that he was slacking off on his work as Apparition. With Nezu's help, he had brought in 67 criminals by the end of the week. Tsukachi and Eraserhead were both appreciative and wary, although Tsukachi was also annoyed at the amount of new paperwork. They were both hounding Midoriya at every turn for his identity. Chat for ghosts who smile back. Denzawa, you don't think that you could give us a hint? Apparition, nay, but I can give you something else to think about. Denzawa, not gonna lie, kind of scared, but also bored. Denzawa, give me something to think about. Apparition, so I got an idea and I just want to run this by you. Apparition, past Mike and Eraserhead. Apparition, the ultimate ghost couple. Denzawa, why does your brain think of these things? Denzawa, and also, literally no, never. Denzawa, do I need to fear for the lives of my husband and myself now? Salty, honestly, a good joke, but I would enjoy you telling us your identity more. Apparition. 1. I gave you the number 100,000 for a reason. Apparition. And 2. No, you don't. Apparition. I would never kill my parental figures. Deadzawa. Somehow, I am not comforted. Apparition. Come on, it's only like 2 months before I meet my quota anyway. Apparition. Oops, GTG dad number 4 is summoning me. Deadzawa. How many people have you claimed are your dads? Apparition is now offline. Izuku. He heard Nezu call again from downstairs. Yeah, D4. He yelled down. Since we have some time now, do you want to work the Endeavor case for a bit? Hell yeah. 1 sec. Quickly grabbing his files and computer, he ran down the steps and into the dining room. Nezu joined him soon after with his own computer and tea. Taking slow sips, they both opened their online files and websites that they had found. Okay, so I need that one about the lawsuit, the folder of camera records and audio records, then the house fire articles, his son's official comment, and the live stream that guy did, and the email chain. Okay, I think that's it for online. Okay, so we need to properly organize everything because my stuff is super messy right now. Okay, so we can section off the evidence into domestic abuse, child abuse and neglect, property damage, illegal bribery of court martials, and other. Awesome. It took them 20 minutes of sorting and collecting files, but they finally managed to gather everything into some attempt at order. In total, they had over 100 video files, 32 audio files, 14 articles, the records of 18 forgotten lawsuits, and 5 statements from the man's maids as well as his youngest son, not to mention a string of emails and transactions that could, on its own, land the man in jail for years for different counts of bribery and threats. Sadly, they couldn't get the oldest son to talk and didn't want to bother Todoroki Ray. God, and Deku really is the worst. It's like he wants to be arrested. Okay, Izuku, today's mini lesson. If you do something illegal, hide it better than this idiot. You'd think it was obvious, but apparently not, so there you go. By the end of Nezu's little rant, Izuku was dying of laughter. Nezu patted him on the back. Well, get your phone out. You need to give all of this to Tsukachi and Aizawa. Midoriya nodded. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, 7Zaya8. SJ3HS. Apparition, here you go. Deadzawa. Am I going to have to get out of my bed for this? Apparition. Nah, this is just Fort Salty. Salty, before I look at that, I have a quick question. Salty, do you think that I am the only person capable of handling any legal matters, arrests? Salty, cause I have to deal with at least 2 arrests a day plus paperwork plus PR and stuff because you send me this kind of stuff every day. Apparition, it's incriminating evidence against Deku. Apparition, should be enough to get him in jail for real. Salty, I'll get right on it. Deadzawa, wow, Apparition. That's a lot of work. Apparition, yeah, it took me like 3 months to do that. Deadzawa, I'm impressed. Apparition, squeal. Deadzawa is offline. Salty, this is gonna help a lot of people. Salty, I'm going to start filing all of the evidence right away. Salty, thanks. Salty is now offline. Apparition, blushing all parents that care. Apparition is now offline. 2 months later. Nezu, come to the school please. Meet me in class 1A. Midoriya Izuku, why? Nezu, Shinszo's there and we need to talk. Midoriya Izuku, KB there in 5. Nezu is now offline. Midoriya Izuku is now offline. Huh, Shinszo's there. Wonder why. Midoriya peeled his face off of the desk and dragged himself towards his closet. Slowly, he shoved clothes on without regard to fashion and stumbled to the exit. Walking the short distance to the school, he finally checked the time on his phone. He woke me up at fucking 7:30. Aren't classes in UA starting now? Why would he want me there? Entering the building, he couldn't help but feel out of place. Not only was it his second time in the school during class hours, and he hadn't been in any school since he begun to learn online, which for some reason had ended 2 days ago, but he was wearing his pink cornbread sweater, orange shorts, and green knife stilettos. To be fair, they were the first things I saw and I didn't read what the sweater said. I really hope that no one sees me. After having to duck and run to avoid students for around 15 times, Midoriya found himself hiding in a storage closet. This is the closet that everyone cries in. Wait, that means I can access the vents from here. Midoriya looked around the dark closet and, sure enough, he can make out the vent opening. Finally, some good luck. Midoriya whipped out his pocket knife that he had equipped with a screwdriver and started to unscrew the nails holding the cover in place. Putting months of experience to work, he made quick work of it. You know, I thought window locks were bad. They've kept me out of a lot of places, but vent covers are also pretty annoying. There are just so many of them. Slipping into the vent, it only took him a couple of minutes before he was looking down at the top of Shinszo's head. Nezu must have seated them there on purpose. Sensei, who's in the vents? Oh yo, she has headphone jacks for ears. That's awesome. Wait, why is she here? I thought Eraserhead had expelled his class. Oh, fuck, wait, are they the new kids? Shit, Nezu planned this. He's going to make me join the class, isn't he? FUCK. Yeah, I was just about to ask that. OMG, he has so many arms. I bet he gives great hugs. All eyes were on Izuku as he unscrewed the vent and dropped onto Shinszo's desk. His friend didn't even look startled to see him, but they were the only one. Hi, sorry for dropping in. OMG, I just made a pun. I didn't even mean to. And Nezu sent me here. I think I'm supposed to join this class. He watched as Aizawa slammed his head through the podium. Of all people I had to be stuck with, it just had to be you. Blood began to drip from Aizawa's head and onto the floor. Snark wormed its way past anxiety and Midoriya plopped into Shinszo's lap. You know, I'm like a pixie stick. I'm sweet and I'll get you high, yet everyone hates me. Midoriya commented while staring Aizawa in the eye. I don't hate you, Shinszo commented, taking this a lot better than everyone else in the room. Some people were staring, others were videoing. A bird kid was whispering about chaos and revelry. And Ada, oh he did get in, seemed torn between helping Aizawa and reprimanding Midoriya. Is it just me or does he look constipated to everyone else too? Well, you're not everyone, are you? Midoriya countered. What? Now Shinszo's brain had joined the not working club. Anxiety come back. Brain to mouth filter come back. Why do you hate me? I'm a fever dream. Yep, I really don't ever think. Not with Aizawa around at least. Shinszo was about to respond when the door opened. The whole group turned as Nezu walked into the class looking creepily overjoyed at the chaos his son figure has caused. Oh good, you're on time. Aizawa, I am too busy with this school, and another one that we shan't mention, to continue one-on-one teaching with my private student here. Enjoy dealing with him. He was about to leave, but the rat turned back around. Oh, and if anyone bullies my son, I will have you know that I won't hesitate to arrest you. I've already sued over 100 families for hurting him and you don't want to be on the growing list. The door shut with a bang. Did he just call you his son? A bright red-haired boy spoke up and everyone looked interested to see if he confirms. Why yes, but he's only fostering me for the moment. Great, now my anxiety comes back. I hate my brain. Aizawa's sigh brought Midoriya's, and everyone else's, attention to him. Well, now that that's over, meet me outside wearing your gym clothes. He moved towards the door, but paused. And Midoriya, Aizawa's gaze burned into the boy and Midoriya gulped. I expect you to follow the dress code this time. Sir, yes sir. Although for the record, I didn't know I was going to be in school today either, Suo. Aizawa sighed louder. Just leave the locks on the bathroom stalls, please. Oh no, I have no problem with those. And I'm still forgetting to not sass Aizawa. Do not be suspicious. Right. With another sigh, Aizawa left, leaving a very confused group behind him. Soon the entire class was gathered on the pitch. It was then that Izuku remembered what shoes he was in. Oh my god, what are THOOOSE? Lightning Boy is cultured. Nice. These are my Crocs. Actually, their heels that Miss M Midnight G gave me. The heels are K and knives. Yellow Boy and Pink Girl were both openly gaping at him. Attention everyone. The class turned to look at Aizawa. Okay, I know Midoriya has the entertainment level of crack cocaine, but it'll be easier on my mental health if everyone ignores him. I'm begging here. That brought some concerned looks and snickers from the group. Yes sir, I will do everything in my power to ignore him. Man, Ada, I'm hurt. And who are you trying to karate chop? I'll try, but he's very hard to ignore. Shinszo deadpanned and Aizawa sighed. Wait, Mr. Aizawa, aren't we going to orientation? Oh, she has toe beans on her fingers. I love her already. Hopefully she doesn't decide to beat me to a pulp for no logical reason. I'm so lucky Nezu blacklisted Kaken from UA. Maybe I can finally lose that fucking nickname. I mean, it's not even clever. Deku, seriously, if you're trying to call me useless and worthless or whatever, then at least get creative. For example, you're like the dull end of a knife, pointless and useless. Boom, original, unique, stress-inducing. You remember it, everything you want when you're attempting to drive your childhood friend to suicide. Oof, Midoriya, were you listening to a word I just said? Aizawa sighed. Oh shit, I was mumbling, wasn't I? Yep, those are your mumming looks. I can't lie to you and you can't expel me, so by that logic my answer is no, I did not. I've stopped trying to stop myself at this point. Go, Apparition and me, be free. If I get arrested, it's your fault. I liked you better when you were a walking anxiety attack. Yay, Arazu. You go first, use your quirk and natural strength however you want to throw the ball as far as you can. Just don't leave the circle, Aizawa said, looking like he needed a break and a drink. The class watched as she walked up to the pitch before turning from the class and unzipping her shirt. Holy shit, this got PG-13 real fast. Hiding herself by holding out the sides of her jacket, she proceeded to make an entire cannon. Load in the ball while ignoring the freaking out of her classmates, and launch at 1,492.53 meters. Damn, I knew she was great, but, wow, I somehow totally forgot about the cannon, not gonna lie. Holy shit, bro, that's so manly. That's awesome, you're so strong. Wow, thankfully, Aizawa was able to quiet the class. The next events all went by in a similar fashion. Izuku, for his lack of quirk, was doing surprisingly well. Wow, gotta remind myself to thank Nezu later for all of those PE classes. He had managed to stay in the upper middle of the group the entire time, even with 3 inches heels on. I mean, I have been training with the teachers here for like half a year, but yeah, it's still dope. He managed to earn himself 7th place. Midoriya, how did you beat me? I mean, you are wearing fucking heels. At some point Shinszo had walked up to the green-haired boy. I did. Sure enough, Shinszo was in 10th and Midoriya beat them by 3 spots. Probably a mix of being taught by more heroes than just 2 and manic energy. That's a mood. Anyway, now that Dad's excuse to torture students is over, I think it's lunchtime. Shinszo began to follow the group and walk away, but Midoriya stopped them. Wait, Dad. Does that make us siblings? At this point, the short boy had made sure to lower his voice so as to not let anyone overhear. I mean, if he ever figures out who you are, then yeah. Shinszo had also lowered their voice even though Aizawa was not anywhere near the two. Did Denzawa put you up to this, trying to get me to confess my identity? Not gonna happen. Midoriya whipped his hair. Didn't really work, not enough hair, and sashayed away. The heels really added to it. Lunch, 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 lunch. A girl with pink skin and the cultured Pikachu boy chanted while they skipped arm in arm. It looked like he was about to have an aneurysm. The poor boy. But, to be fair, I kinda expected more from the future of heroes too. Wow, imagine being that skilled at making friends. Shinszo groaned while he used the diversion to sneak into the cafeteria unnoticed. I know, right. Grabbing a bowl of katsudon and waiting for Shinszo, he quickly surveyed the room. Not finding a spot where he felt comfortable sitting. I mean, can you blame me? Have you heard my school history? He grabbed Shinszo and helped the two of them slip out of the school and onto a patch of land where a few groups of 3rd years were eating. Hey Izuku, can I call you that? Seems better than your bitch mom's name. Yeah, sure, what should I call you? Are you sticking with your given name? I don't know. I don't care about the whole name thing too much. It's Satoshi. Okay, you got it, Hito-chan. Oh ho ho, that is not happening. No fucking way. Nada. No, too late, I already love it. Their chatting and wandering was interrupted by Izuku hearing his name. Hey, Midoriya, over here. Remember us? Oh, it's Tintin and his squad from class 2A. Or I guess they're 3 and now ... that's kinda weird. Hey guys. Grabbing Shinzo's arm in his free hand, he led them over to the group of 3. This is my friend Shinszo H. Hitoshi. Hito-chan. This is Mirio, T. Tamaki, and Nijar. They're my friends from CO last 3A. Dude, you know the coolest people. Hi, I'm Shinszo. The perplet introduced themselves to the older students. Usually Hito-chan would be more guarded when meeting new people. I guess that since they're my friends, they trust them. The 3 third years smiled. Well, 2 of them did. One of them was trying to become a rock. Greetings went back and forth for a bit before the 2 groups broke off again. Hey Hito-chan, wanna eat in that tree? You know what? Sure, why not? Making their way up into the tree, Shinszo found a good branch. Midoriya then passed up both trays and joined them on a nearby branch, just a bit higher. They ate calmly, chatting a bit in between bites, until Midoriya caught sight of something in the tree across from them. Hey, is it just me or is that bird like human-sized? Shinszo squinted at the tree before reeling back. No, not you, that's a huge bird. Wait, oh my gods, is that Takoyami? Who? Takoyami, from our class. They're super chill and kinda androgynous. I don't remember seeing them in the boys' locker room, so I'd go with they, them pronouns until otherwise stated. Let's go say hi. Yeah, okay. I'm done with lunch anyway. Using the same technique they had used to get up, they made their way down and crossed the lawn. Sparing a wave at the trio from earlier, they looked up Takoyami's tree. Hey, could we join YU? The bird kid looked confused but nodded nonetheless. The 2 friends made their way up to Takoyami's level, leaving their trays at the base of the tree. Hi, we saw you from the tree over there, so we figured we'd join you. Shinszo greeted. Are you creatures of the night sky as well? And no, we just wanted to avoid kids. Which I guess is high hypocritical cons cider ring, we just climbed your tea tree. Midoriya stumbled out. I see. Shinszo, was it? You seem like Ken, one of the void of nothingness that sits within me. Indeed, my pronouns are they, them. I also accept Jack, hen for my birdly side. Please ... don't refer to me as cock though. While it is similar in meaning to Jack in this context, it is also. Well, you get it. Yup, YUG got it. No cock. The trio burst out in laughter at that. Okay, you know what, we're first years, you can't expect us not to laugh. By the time he heard the bell ring, Izuku had succeeded in making another friend. Wow, I never thought I would enjoy school. But being here, surrounded by supportive, caring people, I'm honestly so happy. Who knew things could get so much better? I am here, coming through the door like a normal person. All Might shouted as he bursted into the classroom, admittedly not like a normal person. The class was ecstatic. Midoriya, on the other hand, kept scrolling through news reports to see if there were any new villain attacks. Although it was hard to keep up with his schedule, with all his extra training, Midoriya had gotten to 98,376 arrests. Gah, I'm so close. I bet Tsukachi and Aizawa are almost vibrating with excitement to see who I am. Well, their suffering fuels my amusement. While Midoriya was in Aldera, he would randomly scroll through cameras and see what was up. This led to him figuring out All Might's identity and basically everything about him. The guy's not subtle. He'll talk about All for One in an alleyway by himself, and then he pretends like the guy's a secret. I found out about One for All and All for One on the same day, for crying out loud. Midoriya still liked the guy as a hero. He did a lot of good. But he didn't think he would be that great of a teacher. In any case, Class 1 had to change into their hero outfits and was brought to ground beta to do battle simulation. Midoriya's costume could be mistaken for a normal outfit if one didn't look too closely. Dark green combat boots, made to allow him to walk silently and land safely, were found underneath black, slash-proof, waterproof, and fireproof cargo pants that offered protection and movability. They had pockets all over them that held different capture tools. He had freeze grenades, flash bombs, smoke bombs, and exploding glue grenades, as well as zip ties and handcuffs. On his waist sat a belt that held stun darts, a taser gun, a whip that could harden into a staff, and his phone. His top was a black exercise shirt that fit his form, and across his back sat his favorite metal bat that he had carved flowers into. On the back of his left forearm sat a touch screen that worked like a tablet and was connected to his photo through Bluetooth. It had a titanium protective casing so that it wouldn't break in battle. His favorite part was definitely the matte black biker-themed helmet that sat on his head. However, it had more than one twist. Both sides looked like the one that Midoriya was looking out at. It was to, hopefully, stop villains from thinking they could sneak up on him. Other than that, on the outside it looked like a normal helmet, but on the inside it doubled as a command station. He could send visuals from his tablet onto the helmet's visor, allowing him to layer a map or recording over his vision. On the side of the helmet sat buttons that allowed him to switch his view to heat sensing or night vision. He could also access a projecting microphone for crowd control, had access to police radio networks, and had a feature that would send out a distress signal to all registered hero devices within 2 miles. Nice costume. Shinszo emerged from the shadows and spoke. Thanks, looking pretty good yourself. Very Eraserhead. Like literally. Is that just his costume and a mouth guard? No, the guard can make my voice mimic other people's, and I've got Dad's projectors to expand my control range. Your hero name should be Eraser Mike, haha. Yeah, laugh it up. Finally, after All Might got the class to quiet down, he began to explain the simulation. All Midoriya could think as the exercise was getting explained to them was, thank God Kakin isn't here. I definitely would have gotten paired up against him. An excited tap on his arm from Shinszo brought the greenette out of his thoughts. The hero student looked like they were going to lose their mind, they were so excited. Confused, Midoriya looked towards the board and saw that the two of them were paired up. Oh hell yeah, and that they were first up. Could be worse, I guess. And that they were the villain team. It got worse, and that they were against Todoroki and Tsuyu. We're screwed. Villains, came the booming voice of All Might. You have 30 minutes to prepare. Please enter the building. Midoriya and Shinszo both quickly walked into the building and got to the room with the bomb. Without saying a word, Midoriya picked the paper mache statue up and walked towards the staircase. Hey, where are you going? Shinszo asked. We are going to the farthest room possible from the entrance. That also has no windows. I'll explain why when we get there. Midoriya and Shinszo carried the bomb to a room on the 5th floor without any windows. They were pretty sure it was a supply closet. Placing the bomb there, the two caught their breath. Geez, it takes a long time to maneuver a giant paper mache bomb up 5 floors. Who'd have thought? Gonna tell me why we're here? Shinszo drawled, looking exasperated. Oh, yeah, so, basically, UA uses these buildings for a lot more than just battle simulation. They can use them for obstacle courses or rescue simulators. I hacked into the schematics of this building and Shinszo looked very impressed. When the hell did you have time to hack into the schematics? Midoriya shuddered. I learned a lot during my training with Nezu. I never knew when I would have to hack anything. And let's just say that my phone is a very fancy phone. In any case, ground beta is primarily used for obstacle courses, but also sometimes rescue operation. Thus, there's a lot of technology inside the building that I can hack and use, even though it just looks like a big stone box. In conclusion, this building has a lot of booby traps and trip wires and stuff like that pre-set up here, and I'm going to activate them all. Oh, that's why we want to be as far as possible, so they have to go through all of that first before they can get to us. Midoriya nodded. Shinszo smiled and looked around. So, are we just gonna spend the entire time sitting in this closet? I mean, we both are usually in the closet anyway, but hopefully. They don't know your quirk, so we can probably do this without fighting anyone. As underground heroes, these simulations aren't really ideal. 2 minutes left, villains. Midoriya took out his phone and pulled up the schematics. He then went through the digital building and clicked every single room except the one they were in. With a click of a button, both hero students could hear a bunch of moving equipment. Sounds like it's working, Shinszo commented. They both got comfortable on the floor and started to discuss strategy. Okay, so Todoroki is probably going to freeze this entire building. With the support equipment I have at the moment, there is nothing we can do about that, so get comfortable. In any case, your quirk will still work even if we're trapped in ice, so if he gets to this room, just make him talk about his dad or something. Oh, and I'll be in the security feed so we'll know what's going on. Sounds good. Yeah, I think we have a good chance at winning this. Shinszo seemed super pumped even though all they were going to do was wait. Your time begins now, heroes. Go, go, go. All Might yelled into their mics. Oh, I have an idea. Hacking into the main control room with his ARM tablet, he split his screen between the security feed and controls of the building and the footage of the people watching. This'll be fun to watch. Not a second later, he was encased from his waist down in ice. He looked over and saw that Shinszo was too. With a glance at his phone, Midoriya could see the sad looks on the viewers' faces. Ah, seems they think it's already over. Then an explosion rang out, and their faces turned into ones of surprise. We've still got a long way to go. What was that? Shinszo inquired, looking very cold and uncomfortable. I think it was the robots. Robots. Don't worry, I turned off the death rays. Death rays? Plus ultra, I guess. Can I get an update? Oh, sure. Midoriya paused the show he was watching and switched screens. They both just fell into a pit trap that brought them to the first floor. And we only have 3 minutes left. I think it's safe to say we're going to win. If you jinx it, no one will ever find your body. They watched as Todoroki was forced to carry a now half-frozen and definitely hibernating Isui across a field of trip wires. By the end, he had enough stun darts in his sides to take down a minor deity. Both Isui and Todoroki have passed out. The villain team wins. Can young Kirishima go chip them out of the ice? The two of them high-fived while laughing at the utterly bewildered faces of their comrades. Boom. Villain and useless for the win. Izuku shouted at no one in particular, fists punching the air. Haha, fuck yeah. They both looked up as the door opened to reveal their cold classmate. Oh, hey kid Kirishima, hand please. He made quick work of the ice. Soon the two of them were free and, with Kirishima's help, managed to carry Isui and Todoroki back to the viewing room. As soon as they opened the door, sound exploded from inside. Yo, how did you do that? That was so awesome. Is that your quirk? How did you set up those traps without even moving? They deserved a fair fight. You didn't even fight them. To be fair, Todoroki wasn't planning on fighting either. How did you beat Todoroki without using your quirks? Hey now. Calm down. Calm down. All Might's booming voice finally cut through the others. Soon everyone was quiet. Can anyone tell me who the MVP was? I can, sir. Yaoyorozu. The MVP was Midoriya. Not only did he come up with a quick and effective plan, but he monitored and updated his partner on the hero's situation. Todoroki, while he did have a good plan, put his partner out of commission. Similarly, Isui was unable to assert herself in her partnership and was incapacitated upon entering the building, even while knowing she wouldn't have been able to enter in the first place due to her quirk. Shinszo did nothing wrong, but still ended up leaving the planning and action all to Midoriya. Now that is not saying anything about Shinszo. I understand that due to distance your quirk may not have worked and that you just didn't have a chance to show your skills, but from what I have seen, Midoriya was the MVP. The very good young lady. You got everything. Geez, she's good. I wonder if I can befriend her. She reminds me a bit of myself. Something to look into. I'll have to ask Hito-chan later if we can adopt her like Takoyami. Maybe Ochako too, she seems nice. Obviously Todoroki needs to be on our list of kids too. Making his way back over to Hitoshi, he couldn't help but notice how uncomfortable All Might look. I was right. He has no fucking clue what he's doing. He put his elbow on Shinszo's shoulder and watched as the next battle trial began. So Hito-chan, what are your thoughts on adopting Yaoyorozu and Todoroki? Is it because they're your people or because they're rich? Oh, shut up. They'll fit right in with us. Really? Shinszo looked at Izuku skeptically. Yeah, Yaoyorozu is the quiet, kind type, and has a knack for analysis, perfect for our squad. Todoroki needs companionship and doesn't know it. They'll be our children by the end of the week, trust me. Suddenly changing his voice to a whisper, he spoke into his friend's ear. It may also have something to do with the fact that I'm having Endeavor arrested, but you know, whatever. Bro, are you kidding? Why? How? You know what? Why am I even asking? What about Lighting Boy? Are they blushing? Oh ho. I'm just thinking. Is this a crush I smell? What new? You like him? Okay, he's like super hot and he's flirted with me twice already. I'm not used to this. Ask him out. Ask him out. Ask him out. SHHHHH. Be quiet. And no, he can ask me out if he likes me, which he probably doesn't. Oh come on, you just said he keeps flirting with you. Gah, I know. They ended up chatting through the rest of the battles, and before they knew it class was over. Heading back to the locker room, they were shocked to be stopped by none other than Yaoyorozu. Hey, Yaoyorozu said, I remember you two from the recommendations exam. Would you like to sit with me at lunch today? Why yeah sure, Midoriya replied. Great, see you then. With that she left for the girls' locker room, leaving her classmates confused behind her. So, Midoriya, I didn't see you at the rest of the recommendation exam, yet you're at UA. How does that work? Yaoyorozu set her lunch down on the table to join Shinszo and Midoriya. Well, I never was a re-recommendation student. Nezu, and my foster father, took me under his wing and I became his personal student. Back because of that, IG got a free pass into UA. Midoriya stopped eating to answer, and Yaoyorozu started eating. That makes sense. The girl was going to continue, but Midoriya interrupted her. Todoroki. See, come sit off over here, please. The boy in question startled and slowly turned to face the screaming one. He seemed to contemplate, and ultimately decided to walk over. Hello. Todoroki's face did not portray any emotion as he sat down. Why did you call me here? To sit and talk. And maybe become friends. And your dad's a bitch. So, why yeah. At the last part, emotion finally shone through Todoroki's mask. Wow, way to be subtle, Shinszo remarked, and got a hit on their arm for the comment. What? It's true. You are so rude. Why did I ever help you? Midoriya groaned and slammed his head on the table. Yaoyorozu looked afraid for him while Todoroki still looked startled. Because you love me. I hate that you're right. Not to interrupt this moment, but what did you mean before? Todoroki spoke up and Midoriya lifted his head from the table. Oh, the part W where I hate endeavor. Todoroki nodded. Well, he sucks. And not that T that makes why you suck. I mean, why you aren't him. He's J just a terrible H hero and F father. Midoriya, I understand you have your own opinions, but maybe you shouldn't be so vocal about them in this situation. Yaoyorozu spoke up and Midoriya curled in on himself. All food was forgotten. Why you're right. But I think Todoroki agrees with me on this. Midoriya spoke up and recognition passed through Todoroki's eyes. I do. I've told it to you before. You're the kid at the recommendation exam. Midoriya nodded. Not to stop this touching moment, but we should all eat. Aizawa might get mad if we enter the room hungry. And we only have 5 minutes left. Shinszo reasoned from the corner. Oh shit. Midoriya started to stuff his face with food, while Yaoyorozu and Todoroki ate like civilized folk. Rich people always act better than the rest of us. Midoriya held his head in his hands. UAS academics are so weird. I thought I would be ready, but turns out I could take this class 1,000 times and never be ready for the curriculum. Ectoplasm. Their math teacher had given class 1 a pop quiz to see how much information the students already knew. From what Shinszo could see, Midoriya obviously didn't do so well. He was looking pretty stressed. So, like the good friend they were, Shinszo looked over to see what Midoriya got. It was an 85. Shinszo had gotten a 64. I swear to God, Izuku, if you tell me that you didn't get a good grade on this test, I am going to lose my mind. Midoriya looked up guilty. You're not even supposed to know the information on it, for crying out loud. Yeah. I'm overreacting, aren't I? You think? Well, Shinszo activated their brainwashing and Midoriya went slack. 10 seconds later, Midoriya looked around and saw his classmates laughing. What did you do? It was less like a question and more like a statement. Shinszo looked around in mock innocence. Who? Me. Midoriya sighed and walked over to Yaoyorozu, who gladly gave him her compact mirror. Anxiety bean was written on his forehead in blocky letters. Midoriya sighed again, gave Yaoyorozu back her mirror, and walked back to his seat. Shinszo was snickering the entire time. Well, can't fault them for writing the truth. Actually, no, I can. Dad number 4 was all that came out of Midoriya's mouth, but it was still enough to make Shinszo pale. He wouldn't. Midoriya gave them a look. It might have looked threatening, but in reality the boy was just trying not to laugh. Sadly, it didn't work, and the two friends were almost on the ground. They were laughing so hard. The rest of the class just looked on in confusion. Who's dad number 4? Kaminari asked. Everyone just shrugged. The rest of the day was pretty uneventful. They even got a study hall instead of English because President Mike wanted to give them a couple days to get used to UA before he started teaching them how. Midoriya used that time to take down Gunslinger, a new criminal. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, 73 ASD 86, as 230. Apparition, Gunslinger, Deadzawa, you are so lucky you sent that while I didn't have a class. Apparition, I thought you expelled her class. Deadzawa, I did. Deadzawa, now I have a new one. Deadzawa, complete with a problem child and everything. Apparition, while that is a big oof, you might want to go arrest this guy. Apparition, I'm not sure how long he's going to stay there. Deadzawa, yeah, I'm on it. Deadzawa, at Salty, you gonna back me up? Salty, long-suffering sigh. Salty, yeah. Salty, also, Apparition. You may be interested in knowing that Endeavor's trial is being kept under wraps for now but will be broadcasted live in a week. Apparition, oh thank the gods. Deadzawa is now offline. Salty is now offline. Apparition is now offline. Ooh, who are you texting, little listener? Present Mike asked from over Midoriya's shoulder. Where the hell did he come from? Oh, just my dad. He was wondering when IW was getting home. Shit. Wait, isn't Nezu fostering you? Wouldn't he already know? Midoriya's pure panic must have shown on his face because present Mike took pity on him. Laughing, he said, all right, I'll let you have your secret. He shook his head and gave Shinszo a look. Kids these days. Midoriya turned to see Shinszo laughing wildly besides him. Oh my god, you were texting Dad, weren't you? I've never seen you so scared in my life, and I watched you try to pet a cat for the first time. The perplet was cracking up. It's not funny, Midoriya hissed. He almost caught me. He didn't though. You were just so suspicious. Looking back on it, Midoriya realized that was a true statement. Another failed attempt at not being suspicious, I guess. Maybe that's what I should get Nezu to teach me. Improv. That's actually a great idea. Shinszo looked on in amusement and confusion. I should learn how to improv more. Then I can be less suspicious, and also it could work in many different hero situations. Shinszo nodded and hummed in agreement. That's not a half bad idea. Maybe I should do that as well since my quirk is reaction-based. Midoriya grinned. But don't think I forgot about what just happened. Midoriya's grin disappeared. I will hold it over your head for the rest of time. Hito-chan. Class, shut up. At the commanding and terrifying voice, every mouth in the room shut. Eraserhead looked pleased with himself and continued to speak. Today we are doing something different. Tension spiked. Pick a class representative. Tension lowered. I want to be class rep. So do I. Vote for me. While all of this was going on, Aizawa lowered himself into his sleeping bag and zipped it up. Well, he's clearly not going to be any help. Quiet. Rule-abiding Ada to the rescue. We should take a vote instead of just screaming at each other. But then everyone will just vote for themselves. Shinszo spoke up from their seat, looking absolutely done with everything. Shush, let Ida have this. At least he got everyone to shut up. That's the point. Okay, now I'm lost. Not everyone will vote for themselves, which means that the person with the most votes will be the most trusted. Dude, that's so manly. Let's vote. Kirishima commented and muttered agreement swept around the room. Okay, now that you forced me to count all of the votes, we've got Midoriya with 3 votes and Yaoyorozu with 2. Congratulations. Midoriya is president and Yaoyorozu is vice. Aizawa did not seem congratulatory when he said it. Midoriya, on the other hand, was having a hard time understanding what happened. What? Nope, I'm not doing that. Public speaking is not my thing. Either I get too sassy or I stutter my way through a sentence that doesn't even make sense. And I don't really have the time to deal with this in my vigilante requirements. Midoriya turned to Shinszo, trying to convey his horror about this arrangement. They seemed to get the message, and responded by trying not to laugh. Traitor. Anyway, that's all for this class. Goodbye. Aizawa disappeared into the bright yellow sleeping bag just as the bell rang. As the entire class got ready for the next class, Shinszo meandered next to Midoriya. Ready for the next class, please? I think it's English. Midoriya put on his pitiful face and slumped onto the desk. Please tell me you didn't vote for me. Nope. Did you vote for yourself? Nope. Then how did you have a vote? Midoriya questioned while he waited for present mics to appear. I don't know. I didn't notice I had a vote. Shinszo explained. Wait a minute. You voted for Pikachu, didn't you? Shinzo's eyes widened and a small blush graced their cheeks. You did. But Kaminari only had 1 vote, which means he voted for someone else. That means he probably voted for you. The blush got bigger. We don't know that. Midoriya leveled his friend with a look that said, yes we do. Stop intentionally being an idiot. Well, now you have to ask him out. Or at least talk to him some more. You should probably talk first, but I don't really know anything about dating etiquette. Shinszo looked ready to murder while also being the color of a tomato. Shut up. I'm not doing either of those things. Midoriya kept staring and Shinszo relented. Fine, I'm probably going to speak to him again, but not now. The stare did not stop. Shut up. Shinszo stalked back to their desk right as present Mike kicked open the door. Good morning. How is everyone? Half the class responded by blinking, having only a vague idea of what the teacher just said. This is another reason I am indebted to Nezu. English is no match for a sadistic mastermind. Good, how are you? Midoriya spoke up after the silence had gotten a bit too heavy. Shinszo gave him a confused glance and motioned for him to pull out his phone. Great, thanks for asking. Now for today's class we are going over common phrases. Can anyone tell me what good morning is in Japanese? Yeah, I don't have to pay attention to this. Midoriya quickly pulled out his phone and Shinszo did the same. Sib from another crib. Purple, how do you know English? Green, Nezu made me learn it. Green, and many criminals use it to try to stop people from overhearing them. Purple, huh, fair enough. Green, shouldn't you be paying attention though? Purple, Mike adopted me. Purple, I'm an English god. Green, right, I forgot. Midoriya, since you seem to be good at English, can you tell me what this is? Midoriya pocketed his phone and on the board was a simple "What time is it?" What time is it? That's what it says. Present Mike smiled and nodded. Correct. Now, can anyone tell me the word that shows that it is a question? Sib from another crib. Green, this is so boring. Green, Imago die. Green, be right back. Purple, I'll miss you. Finally, lunch. Shinszo said from the lunch table. I thought it would never come. Same, class was boring. And I've still not figured out a way to get out of the fancy-smancy president position that only idiots want. It can't be that bad. Yae Arazu spoke up from her seat. Yeah, but I don't really have the time for it. Midoriya mentioned. Power is always a burden, but someone must carry it. Todoroki entered his own thoughts to the conversation, and then kept eating. That was deep, not gonna lie. Shinszo commented, looking shook. A loud alarm interrupted Midoriya's statement and everyone froze. That's a code 3 alarm. Someone has broken into UA. Midoriya whipped out his phone and logged into the camera system. He moved from gate to gate until he saw the one that was destroyed. It was the press. But how? No one that I know of has that power. That's when he saw someone that didn't belong there. A blue-haired teenager in a hoodie. Quickly, Midoriya froze the screen on the person. Let's see what I can find about you. Everyone, calm down. It's just the press. Ada's voice broke Midoriya out of his thoughts and he looked up. Why is everyone so bundled together? And how did Ada get on top of that sign? Slowly, everyone stopped screaming, which Midoriya had somehow not noticed up until this point, and just stood around. Well, time to get to class, I guess. I'll just have to get around all of these people first. I'd like to give my position to Ada. He really since stood up for everyone and since stopped a bad situation far from getting worse. Midoriya stood up in front of the class and everyone, except Shinszo, looked shocked to hear what he had to say. Is that even allowed? Ada asked and Aizawa shrugged. Well, I would be grateful to take the position. I won't let you down. Thank goodness, I'm really glad that worked. Midoriya sat down and felt his phone vibrate from his backpack. Sib from another crib. Purple, I knew you were going to do that. Green, shut up. Izuku walked into school the next day feeling like it would be his last. He had been searching until his alarm rang that morning for the hooded figure, but the guy simply didn't exist. He didn't have a Quirk file, school record, hospital visit, nothing. He literally was a ghost. That's a real fucking bad sign. Even texting dads 1, 2, and 4 didn't work since they've never seen him before. I wonder if I can get Tamaki to give me dad #5s number. That's a thought. Oh ho ho, I should ask Mirio for Sir Night Eyes. That would be so much fun. My dad's senses are tingling already. He was knocked out of his thoughts by Shinszo coming up behind him. Yo bro, you good? I've been trying to call your name over your muttering for like 3 minutes now. Haha, yeah, I'm good. Bad feeling is all. ... Okay dude. I trust you. I would trust. Hito-chan, I feel so loved. You're like the parent I never had. Oh wait. Oh shut up. Seriously though? Ugh, if you need me to tell dad about this I will. Yeah. Thanks. The rest of the short walk to their classroom was quiet. They passed a few students on the way, but none that they recognized. Even though the duo didn't recognize anyone, they kept giving them weird looks. Why are people staring at us? Shinszo commented after the fourth person. Probably because you're Denzawa's and past Mike's adopted child, and I'm a riddle wrapped in a mystery wrapped in an enigma wearing 4 inches heels. People are bound to be curious. Shinszo groaned and tried to hide behind Midoriya. Dude, you're like 2 feet taller than me. Even with the heels, that's not going to work. Can they not? I don't like the attention. Midoriya shrugged. I mean, I can't really do anything about it. Wait a minute, I've got an idea. Shinszo began to look distrustful. Ever want to go through the vents? Good morning, Aizawa-sensei. Midoriya dropped into an almost empty classroom through the ceiling. Ada, why is he always here? Looked aghast. Problem child. It's not okay to get everywhere through the vents. Aizawa seemed to be considering the pros and cons of slamming his head through the podium again. Why not? Shinszo responded as he also landed on the desk. Aizawa's eyes widened. Ada passed out, and Midoriya could just make out the teacher's horrified whisper, "Oh my god, there's 2 of them." Following all of that, the 2 siblings broke down in hysterical laughter, Midoriya going as far as to tip and fall off the desk. He landed in a ball on the floor. Aizawa ran his hand down his face and sighed. It's too early for this. Sit down and be quiet until class starts. He then copied Midoriya and curled up in a ball, but in his very bright yellow sleeping bag, of course. Aye, sir. Shinszo snickered. Midoriya slowly picked himself off the floor and sat on Shinzo's desk. Aizawa just sighed and closed his eyes. Okay, I have an announcement to make. Aizawa had finally decided to grace the students with his presence. Is the announcement about how he's going to finally murder me? That would be funny. I think it would make Ada pass out again. We are going on a field trip today. Really? I was expecting something more life-threatening. That sounds like so much fun. Where are we going? Shut up. Aizawa's hair began to float and his eyes glowed. Whoever decides to keep talking will find themselves unable to join the rest of the class. Silence descended upon the room. I'll explain where we're going on the bus. Get into your hero costumes and meet me at the front gate in 5 minutes. As soon as Aizawa stopped talking, Midoriya was out of his seat and through the door. 5 minutes isn't a lot of time, and I really can't afford to get on Aizawa's worst side. Midoriya looked behind him and saw Shinszo also scrambling out of the room. Guess they're afraid of what will happen if they're late too. The green-haired student changed into his costume in record time and was at the front gate in 3 minutes and 30 seconds. It's really helpful that I don't have one of the ultra-fancy costumes, and that I'm fueled with fear right now. Aizawa was already standing there, looking unimpressed even though Midoriya was the first one out. 15 seconds later, Shinszo was also seen sprinting out of the building and towards their adopted father and their friend. Nice job, Hitoshi. That was very fast. Aizawa commented. I was here before them. Why do you hate me? Well, thanks for the praise, Dad. Izuku replied sarcastically. What? Shit. I said Dad. And me now. What? The boy who was totally not Apparition replied, feigning ignorance. What? Shinszo asked just to feel included and because they're petty. What? Asked Asui as she entered the waiting area. Nothing. Aizawa answered. Now, we have 1 minute left. You guys have better hope that your fellow classmates show up soon. I don't think we're the ones who should worry if they're late. 1 minute and 23 seconds later, everyone was loaded onto the bus. And the group set off to who knows where because Aizawa had decided not to tell everyone. I tend to always say what's on my mind. Asui broke the silence with a random statement. So, I have to ask, how are you here, Midoriya? Well, you see, when a mommy and a daddy love each other very much, he was cut off by his arm being smacked by Shinszo, reminding him who his audience was. I am mean. What do why you mean Asui? Call me Tsuyu. To clarify, no one here saw you at the entrance exam and Yaoyorozu said that you didn't take the recommendation exam. So, how are you at UA? Well, I'm in Nezu's per personal student, as so I got a FR free pass. Midoriya stammered out. I see. Thank you for the answer. Asui leaned back, satisfied. You're Nezu's personal student? That's insane. So manly. Kirishima parroted from his seat. Dude, how does that work? How did that even happen? Shinzo's crush asked. I am not really sure. He kinda just found me hacking into UAS. He froze at the sight of Aizawa's eyes narrowing from the front of the bus. I mean, I totally didn't do that. I meant he just found my house and kidnapped me. Why, yeah. And then he arrested my mom, took over my school, sued my childhood friend, and fostered me. Shinszo face-palmed. Too much information, buddy. I don't think you helped your case at all. This time it was Midoriya who hit them on the arm. Silence covered the bus as everyone was trying to process what he just said. He could see Aizawa typing on his phone and silently prayed to the gods that he hadn't just outed himself. Yeah, I can see that. Welcome to Unforeseen Simulation Joint, also known as USJ. Oh, so that's the name. I always thought it stood for Universal Studios Japan. My name is 13 and I'll be your host for today. OMG, okay, they're so freaking adorable. I need to find some way to get them to adopt me. My parents' senses are vibrating off the charts. I wonder what a better word for that would be. Dad scan. No, that's way too non-inclusive. Sundar. Nope, sounds like a bad ripoff of Gaydar. Sonar. Haha, it's like sonar but with a soft O. I'm a pun genius. Why is Hito-chan snickering? Oh shit, I'm mumbling, aren't I? Yep, definitely. Oh my god, Izuku, how many parents do you need? Don't you have like 10 dads? For your information, I only have 5, which is nowhere near enough, and a long list of candidates. And you're no, oh my gods, what is that? The entire class turned to look at the growing smokish cloud in the center of the plaza. While the group turned to see what it was, villains started to emerge from it. Is this part of the simulation? Because it's pretty unforeseen. Uraraka joked nervously. No, those are villains. Aizawa responded. No, those are villains. Aizawa responded urgently. Everyone get back. Kaminari, Midoriya, send out a distress signal. I'll handle these guys. By the time he had finished talking, he had already jumped into the fight. Izuku worked quickly, sending out texts, emails, alarms, anything he could, to the teachers. In the end, only his helmet's special alarm got through. Oh, thank God that worked. It's not working. They must be jamming our signal. Kaminari shouted. Don't worry, I got out a signal. Midoriya responded, trying to calm the spreading fear. I'm trying to hack into the main control frame, but there's a quirk corrupting my tablet. I think I can get through though. It'll take a minute. Cover me. He missed his classmates' responses, fully focused on his slowly corrupting device. Come on. There. Shit. I can't access the controls. They're all manual machinery. Fuck. We're all gonna die. We need a plan. Look out. The group all turned to see the mist man appearing out of thin air. Midoriya took the distraction that Kirishima provided to rush under the stairs to the control panel. Taking his bat, he smashed through the door's lock and entered the room. "Hey," some villain yelled. "Okay, I'm counting 3 guys. Wait, is that Viper? How did he get out of jail?" "Oh, my mom bailed me out." I must have spoken out loud. "Dude, what are you doing? Aren't we supposed to kill the kid or something?" said one of the other 2 villains. "I'm calling him Billy." "Nah, this one's chill. Speaking of moms, did yours get arrested yet?" "Holy shit, this is not happening." Why, yeah, she did. I'm staying with Nezu now." "Holy shit, you're Nezu's kid." "Fuck no, I'm not fighting a kid whose dad is that freak." "Bitch, no one says that about my D4. Breaking his no violence rule, he made quick work of smashing his metal bat full force into Billy's head. Viper didn't even flinch while the other villain crept backwards. "Viper, why are you here?" "I didn't know you were a hacker," Midoriya commented while he stepped over the unconscious villain. I guess my anxiety is gone. Maybe I should bash heads more often." "Oh, I'm not. I'm just hired protection. Hackers aren't usually the most fit," Viper answered, not even caring that Midoriya was coming closer. "That's fair, although I do kinda take offense to that seeing as I'm a hacker," Midoriya retorted. The other villain looked like Ada, about to pass out and very confused. "Oops, I meant no offense, little man. Anyway, so you said your mom is in jail?" Viper asked. "Yeah, she's gone. Thank goodness." "That's great. Good for you. I hate that bitch." Midoriya nodded. "Me too. Wait, this is not the time for casual conversation with a surprisingly nice villain. I have a job to do. You wouldn't mind if I messed with the controls a bit, would you?" Midoriya cautiously took another step forwards. "You know what? Go for it. I'm not gonna lie, I really want to see what all of these buttons do." The other villain finally stepped in. "Hey, you can't do that. He's a hero brat." "Yeah, but he's one of us." The villain looked surprised, but Viper wasn't about to back down. "Fine, but I don't want to get arrested." The other villain, I should really learn his name, stepped back and into the corner. "I can't promise that, but I'll vouch for you and I'll tell the cops you helped me out." "Fair. Also, what's your name?" Midoriya responded. Yeah, okay. "And it's Hackman. You're kidding. This is the weirdest interaction I've ever had. Actually, Tree Boy might have been worse." "Nope. God damn it," Izuku muttered. "Well, I've kinda got to save my friends, so." "Yeah, oh right. I forgot this was supposed to be a fight," Viper murmured. Then he moved aside to allow Izuku to access the control. "Okay, so, first I've got to stop the block on communication." Midoriya cracked his knuckles and turned to all of the fancy buttons. "You can't. It isn't a bug. It's someone's quirk," Hackman responded in Midoriya sighed. "Why is my life never easy?" "Great, then I can at least take control of USJ." Midoriya began to type. "What do you mean?" Viper asked. At this point he was leaning over Midoriya's shoulder, trying to see what he was doing. "This place has a bunch of different equipment hidden. That includes a bunch of robotic villains and other little inconveniences. All I have to do is activate them all and then." Midoriya did jazz hands. "Chaos." Interesting," Viper replied. Midoriya had stopped listening, too busy trying to save all of his classmates' lives. "Okay, Aizawa is down in the main square, but everyone else is scattered throughout the place. This means I'm going to have to tailor the hidden inconveniences to not happen if my classmates are nearby. That shouldn't be too hard." Quickly flipping through cameras, he began to activate different robots and disaster effects. He started in the landslide zone. Waiting until all of his classmates were behind cover, he activated the area before moving to the fire zone and dropping the emergency water support. He then drained the shipwreck zone, set loose the snow avalanche, altered the coding of and let loose the robots in the downpour zone so that they'd only attack the villains, etc. It went like this for the next 2 minutes until a loud bang alerted him of the teacher's presence. "Oh good, my helmet alarm worked." Flipping his camera to the main square, he could see Aizawa still efficiently making his way through the large group of thugs, only halfway to the leader-looking guy. He and Viper watched as All Might rounded up the, all relatively unscathed, students before going for the leader and his black muscle friend. Present Mike, Midnight, Ectoplasm, and Snipe all started to help Aizawa with the villains while the other teachers helped the students and 13 to evacuate. "Welp, I guess I'm done." Midoriya powered down the mega computer and strapped his forgotten bat onto his back. As he started to move towards the door, he saw that Hackman was nursing the now conscious villain back to health. "I should go see if everyone is okay." "Oh yeah, have fun," Viper responded and opened a hidden passage. "I'll be going too. See you around." "Yup, bye." Midoriya waved and left the room. The sound of fighting was still going on, so he slowly peeked from behind the stairs. Just as he did, All Might punched a giant birdman thingy through the roof of USJ. Wow, overkill. With another look, he saw that all of the villains had been taken down. "Hello, problem child." Midoriya whipped around to see that Aizawa had walked up behind him. "What are you doing?" I was in the control room helping you guys." "So, yeah." Aizawa just noticed a door behind the small child inside. He does that a lot. Okay, let's get you with the rest of the class. Yes, sir. The students and teachers all looked up as Aizawa approached with a pleased-looking Izuku. Dude, where were you? We were so worried. What happened? Izuku was taken aback by the concern of his classmates. I honestly forgot again that people care now, haha. It's nice. Guys, it's chill. I was in the control room helping you all. He watched the wave of understanding and gratitude roll over the group. Wait, so did they not have anyone guarding the control room? That's so stupid. Yaoyorozu spoke up. No, they did. There were only 3 guys though. One of them is, I guess, a friend from when I was arrested. One I made friends with pretty quickly, and one I smashed in the head with my bat. You were arrested. You did what to that guy? How on earth did you befriend a villain? And they just let you use the controls? That's so manly, dude. Of course you did. The reunion was disrupted by a familiar voice. Midoriya, right. I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I need your statement. OMG, it's dad number 1. When did he get here? Sure, Tsukachi. At the suspicious look, he realized his mistake. God, pretending to be dumb is harder than I expected. I remember you from when you helped me with my mom, Midoriya and co. Oh yes, I remember now. Anyway, please follow me. The 2 of them left USJ and walked the short distance to a cop car, where Izuku sat himself on the hood. Now, please give me all of the details of what just happened. And I'm sure you remember my quirk. He nodded. I do. It helps that I've known you for a lot longer than you would think. Okay, so when we entered the building, 13 was there and Yagi was missing. He saw Tsukachi give him a shocked look. Oh right, I know he knows who All Might is, but I guess that would be jarring to hear from a kid. I was talking with my friend when I noticed the portal form in the center of the plaza. I shouted out, and Aizawa told me and picked Kaminari to send out an emergency signal before jumping at the villains. I managed to get out the emergency signal in my helmet and made my way to the control center. I recognized the villain Viper from my time in holding, and he helped me out with making friends with one of the other 2, Hackman, who then let me pass. There was a 3rd villain, but he insulted my dad, so I beat his head in with my bat. He didn't wake up until much later. Anyways, then I started to carefully activate the different sites in order to help my classmates take out the villains. Once that was done, me and the other villains, just watched until Aizawa found me. Wow, I'm extremely impressed. Oh my gods, I never knew how much I needed to hear those words. You kept calm in a tough situation, managed to call for help, and even succeeded in safely and mostly non-violently handling a villain situation even while outmatched and alone. You even were able to help all of your classmates. You did everything right. You're going to be a great hero. I think he's layering it on a little thick, but I love it. Shinszo and Aizawa, who were watching this go down, both smiled to themselves as Izuku almost broke down into tears. Dad number 2, thanks for believing in me. At that moment, Midoriya almost up and said that he was Apparition, but thought better of it. He might have been close to 100,000 arrests, but he wasn't there yet. Granted, I'm only like 500 off, but still. Wiping the totally non-existent tears from his eyes, Midoriya smiled. Gee, thanks, Tsukachi. That means a lot to me. I'm really glad I could help. Well, you did good and didn't lie, so that really helps me out. You know, you remind me of a friend. He's a vigilante, so not the greatest person, but he helps a lot of people from the shadows like you did. Okay, time to stage my escape before I accidentally expose myself. Well, I'm glad I remind you of a vigilante. Totally the look I was going for. On another note, Hito-chan, let's go over there. Wow, that was a lot less smooth than it was in my head. In any case, Shinszo was slightly more amused than they should have been as they were pulled away from the 2 adults. Only once they got to a little clump of trees did Midoriya let go of his friend's hand and sit down. You just did that to not blow your cover, didn't you? Shinszo looked down at the mortified boy below him. Midoriya nodded. As much as I want to tell them now, I should wait. There's more things I can do with my anonymity than if they knew who I was. And with my track record of being super suspicious and losing my anxiety around them, I decided it would be better if I just left the area. Shinszo sighed. You do realize that exit was still very suspicious though, right? Midoriya slapped them on the leg and huffed, sadly knowing that his friend was right. Shinszo glared and hopped out of the greenette's reach. Humph, I need longer arms, or I could get up and go over to them. Yeah, I definitely need longer arms. I don't need to hear that after I just saved all of your lives. Yeah, that's valid. What a day, am I right? Shinszo plopped down next to their friend. Aizawa and Tsukachi were seen talking where Midoriya and Shinszo just left. Nah, that was actually pretty chill for me. I mean, I hacked and I talked to some friendly villains. Pretty normal. Well, not the friendly villain part. That doesn't usually happen. That's still super weird to say out loud, especially because it's correct. That was a pretty normal day. Shinszo seemed to be thinking the same thing because they sighed and patted the short boy on the head. Well, we can't all be semi-famous vigilantes with names no one knows how to pronounce. Apparition isn't that hard to pronounce, he yelled. The vigilante quickly quieted down and looked towards Tsukachi and Aizawa, but, thankfully, the 2 didn't seem to have heard him. It's a perfectly fine Vigilante name, thank you very much. Did you even come up with it? I've watched all of these TV shows that show that the police usually pick the name. Shinszo asked. Police usually pick the name for serial killers. I am not a serial killer, and seeing as I am in direct contact with the police, I got to choose my name. Midoriya explained. Is Apparition really the best you come up with? Midoriya pouted. Hey, I'm not saying that it's bad, just that there are so many better options. Shut up, I was like 10. However, I think it is a very good name that fits me well. I'm like a ghost, but being called ghost is lame and generic. Thus Apparition. To be fair, at first I wanted to be called Ali Apparition, but that makes me sound like a drug dealer or a horse girl, and now that I say it out loud, it really is a terrible name. Oh my god, that is so bad. Shinszo burst into laughter and Midoriya slapped them again. In all seriousness though, I'm glad you're okay. It was pretty scary in there. And I know that you see danger all the time, although not in person, I guess. Still counts, but for the rest of us, it was really terrifying to be attacked like that. Shinszo paused and looked at their classmates, who were scattered around the area. I think we'll be okay though. No one got very hurt. And the pros got here before it got any worse. I guess that's kind of thanks to you, Ali Apparition. We were having a moment, Shinszo, and you had to go ruin it, didn't you? You know what? Did you become a vigilante at age like 10 and now almost have 100,000 arrests? No, I didn't think so. So stop commenting on my alias. Midoriya stood up and started to tickle the perplet viciously before stopping when he noticed that Tsukachi was coming towards them. Hi Tsukachi, sir. Why are you coming over here? Shinszo immediately shut up and turned around. I just got a text from Nezu. Both of the teens blanched. He said that with the recent attack it is not safe for Midoriya to stay with him. That's so much better than I expected. But still also the worst thing he could have said, honestly. So where will I be staying? Well, Nezu said that you trust me, so you're staying with me. Well, that was unexpected. So, I know that Nezu's scary and all, but are you really okay with housing me? Midoriya broached the subject while the two were driving to Tsukachi's house. Yeah, I might have asked this a little late, but better late than never. I'm doing this of my own free will. I mean, you needed a place to go, and you're a great kid, and I have the space, so why wouldn't I want you to stay? Is this about your mom? No, I mean, kinda, but also not. I was just wondering. You don't know me, but you're taking me in. Why? It's the right thing to do. Tsukachi looked like he wanted to say more, but stopped once he saw where they were. We're here. The car pulled into a driveway and stopped. Oh, this is a nice house. Midoriya looked out the window and smiled. So this is Salty's home, and I'm going to be living here. Wow, thank you. Dad number 2 got out of the car and walked towards the trunk. Midoriya slid out too, and moved to join him. Together the two pulled out all of Midoriya's belongings and dumped them on the driveway. Midoriya bent down and picked up 2 of the heavier boxes. You don't have to do that. What? Midoriya questioned while barely being able to see Tsukachi over the boxes. You don't have to carry anything. I've got it, but it's my stuff. You should rest. You just got attacked by villains. Yeah, that happens. You have a job. I shouldn't take up any of your time. I'm your guardian. You're supposed to take up my time. I do hope you realize you can't win this. Midoriya turned around and began to walk towards the front door. He could hear Tsukachi's sigh from behind him. Don't underestimate my annoyance factor. You kind of need to open the door, Midoriya said from behind the stack of boxes in his arms. Don't worry, I've got it. Salty appeared out of nowhere and produced a key. Midoriya moved out of the way and Tsukachi quickly opened the door. As soon as the door opened, something launched itself onto Midoriya, and he stumbled backwards. Sadly, to his back was the stairs and he quickly tumbled down them. Well, this is embarrassing. What if the boxes break? Midoriya tried to maneuver in midair to both protect the boxes and himself, but it didn't work very well. The teenager hit the ground with a resounding thud and groaned in pain. Midoriya, are you okay? He looked up to see Tsukachi's concerned face. He groaned again. Putting the boxes that were still in his arm down, he looked to see what had hit him. It was a god. A medium-sized, chunky, black whiner doggish dog had knocked him over. And there goes my dignity. Nice attack, dog, thought Tsukachi. Midoriya moved himself into a standing position and started picking back up his boxes of stuff. Tsukachi sheepishly helped his new charge and led them both inside. Her name is Mira. She, as you can tell, likes new people. I didn't expect her to bowl you over like that though. Are you sure you're okay? Midoriya nods and the detective pauses, something occurring to him. You're not allergic to dogs, are you? Midoriya laughed. No, I have no allergies that I'm aware of. Thanks for your concern though. The boxes were quickly deposited in the middle of the living room and were sorted into clothes, hygiene-related stuff, and other. Midoriya went to pick them back up, but was stopped by Salty telling him to get ready for dinner. Yeah, I suppose the boxes can wait until later. Stepping into the hall bathroom, he washed his hands before looking at himself in the mirror. His bathroom looks a lot like my mom's. That's kinda ironic considering Salty was the one to put her away. I should thank him later. Stepping out of the bathroom, he met Tsukachi in the kitchen, who already had rice going and was cutting up vegetables. I hope you don't mind stir fry. I suppose when I offered to host you I didn't consider the state of my fridge, haha. Oh, it's totally fine. I can go shopping tomorrow. Izuku replied sincerely. What? Oh shit, I should have considered that he might not be willing to pay for that. Shit. Why are you offering to go shopping? Obviously it was my mistake, and as the adult I'll be going shopping tomorrow. No, I'm the kid, so obviously I'm supposed to do the shopping. It's my fault you need more food. The two looked at each other, both thoroughly confused with the conversation. What are you talking about? We both need food and I'm here to care for you. Did Nezu make you buy your own food? Well, no, but he never went shopping either. Huh, did your mom? Oh, I understand now. Look, Midoriya, Izuku, your mom obviously wasn't treating you right. It's why she's in jail. As a parent, she was supposed to be buying food and clothes and making sure you had the things you needed. Well, I mean, yeah, but I'm not. But now that you're staying here, I'm going to promise to make sure you always have those things. You don't need to go shopping because, as your guardian, it's my responsibility. Do you understand what I'm saying? Shit, I can't say no or else he'll think I'm stupid and throw me out. But if I say yes, he'll know I'm lying. You're allowed to say no, Izuku. Fuck, I must have mumbled that. Does he mean it? Why am I so worried about this? This is Salty we're talking about. No, not really. I don't get why you would have to take care of me when it's me who's causing this, he said, looking down at his hands and subconsciously expecting backlash. He even failed to subdue his flinch when he felt Tsukachi's hands on his shoulders. Izuku, I need you to look at me. You're a kid. I'm fostering you for now, so it's my duty to look out for you. You're not my roommate who's leeching off of me or something. You're someone I've agreed to care for and host, okay? Tsukachi gave him the kindest and most sincere look he could, hoping that it had worked. Oh, okay, I can try this. It won't be like Nezu, but maybe it'll be fine. I mean, he's a great guy who only wants what's best for people. It's why I give him all of my work, so I don't know why I'm feeling like this. His train of thought was interrupted by the small, fat dog running up and bonking into his leg. He laughed before reaching down to pet his new friend. Waking up in Tsukachi's guest room was not how Izuku imagined the day after his first villain fight. OMG, yesterday was a nightmare. For some reason, Tezawa decided to text the group chat and both of their phones went off at the same time. Midoriya freaked out and ran from the room. Thankfully, Salty didn't seem to notice. Even though Midoriya was fully awake, it took him a few minutes to realize where he even was, and even longer to notice the note on his door. Squinting at it so that he didn't have to get up, he managed to read it. I apologize for having to leave early. I know this must be stressful for you, being in a new place, but there is an extremely important case that I have to attend in court today. I should be back before dinner, I hope. What case is he in, Decor? Holy shit, I can't believe I forgot that the hearing was today. I should really text small Todoroki. He grabbed his laptop from his bag and made quick work of hacking into the security cameras in the courtroom before messaging the younger Todoroki. Unnamed chat. Izuku, Midoriya, good luck with your sperm donor's case today. Shoto Todoroki, how did you know about that? Izuku, Midoriya, I have my ways. Izuku, Midoriya, I'll tell you in a few days. Shoto Todoroki, okay. Shoto Todoroki, thank you for your support. Turning his attention back to his computer screen, he saw that they were still setting up on the other end. Oh wait, they're live streaming this. I can just watch it on the news. Oh well, it's more fun this way anyway. I just realized how lucky I am that dad number 2 isn't here right now. Hi, I'm Kajama Machai, and I'm reporting live from number 2 hero, Endeavor's trial. Endeavor has been tried many times for many crimes in the past, ranging from property damage to overly using force, but he has always been released uncharged. This time, however, the police are sure that the charges will stick. Why do you think this, Detective Tsukachi? The camera turns to the detective. Holy shit, dad number 2. I knew he would be there, but I didn't think he would be interviewed. I guess that makes sense though, because this is such a big deal. Yes, well, this time, it isn't just one person suing him for one crime. This is a file filled with all the necessary evidence for over 50 crimes, ranging from parking tickets to murder. It's everything that anyone with a brain could possibly need to put this man in jail. Tsukachi looked very proud of himself, and also excited. How exactly did the police get this information? The reporter was obviously trying to make Tsukachi make a mistake, but he already had an answer ready. Well, this was all from an informant known as Apparition. And, before you start asking me about them, everything Apparition does is perfectly legal. Oh boy, now that's a lie. Hacking isn't legal. Now, if you'll excuse me, I need to get into the courtroom. The reporter tried to ask a few more questions, but Salty wasn't having any of it. Quickly, Tsukachi left the view of the camera. By now, Midoriya was practically bouncing off the walls. Salty mentioned me, and now everyone is going to know that I arrested Endeavor. Oh man, that feels so nice to say. Although I guess there is a slight chance he will get free, but I doubt it. A smile on his face, the boy went to the kitchen to make himself some breakfast. The teen opened a few cabinets until he found the one containing the cereal. Wow, there's actual cereal? Yeah. With practiced ease, Midoriya made himself a bowl of cereal, feeling only slightly guilty that he used Tsukachi's milk. After that was done, the kid made his way to in front of the TV. I can't wait to watch the trial. Welcome to the third, and maybe last, trial of Endeavor. Now, most of you may know him as the number 2 hero, but some probably know him best by the damage he has caused over the years. Today, I will be documenting exactly what is happening in this court case. The shot transferred over to the interview with Dad number 2 that Midoriya had already watched. Using this as an opportunity, Midoriya put his bowl in the sink and wandered back in front of the TV. Now, as you heard in the interview, this trial is all because of an informant. And not just any informant, but one that even the police often work with. Which begs the question, who is this anonymous person? And how much have they done for us in the past? Midoriya smirks, a lot more than you know. However, that is not the topic for this segment, and the real show is about to begin. The shot changed to one inside the courthouse, and Midoriya saw that the trail had already begun. Tsukachi was standing up and saying what all of the accusations towards Endeavor were, and evidence to support each claim. The defending lawyer attempted to save the case by sharing what Endeavor had done as a hero, but she was quickly overrun with the sheer amount of evidence against the man. Then, everything was really settled with a live testimony from the 3 remaining Todoroki siblings. Izuku found himself grinning at the screen as he watched the gavel come down, proclaiming him guilty and sentencing him to 20 years in jail. Unnamed chat. Midoriya Izuku, you did so well. Midoriya Izuku, Indicor will rot in jail forever. Todoroki Shoto, yes, I hope so. Todoroki Shoto, I am happy that he's gone. Midoriya Izuku, mood. Todoroki Shoto, Midoriya Izuku, NVM. Midoriya Izuku, also do you want to hang out today? Midoriya Izuku, should be early enough that no one knows about our dad and such. Todoroki Shoto, sure. I was actually wondering if you might be interested in visiting 13 in the hospital with me and Momo tomorrow. Midoriya Izuku, sounds good to me. We should ask everyone. Todoroki Shoto, okay. Todoroki Shoto is offline. Midoriya Izuku is offline. Surprisingly, Todoroki had been able to corral most of the class into coming, and by that, Midoriya meant he had gotten Yaoyorozu to corral most of the class into coming. Thus, a day later, Midoriya was standing with the class in the waiting room of the hospital. After around half an hour, a nurse emerged. Hello, Class 1A. That's us, ma'am. Kirishima responded for the group. Lovely. If you're ready, you're free to enter. Keep in mind that they are still recovering though, so don't be too aggressive, please. Of course, ma'am, Ada said, waving his arm around. The group walked in and attempted a double file line into the waiting room. 13 honestly didn't look that bad anymore, having mostly recovered in the couple of days since the incident. The hero greeted them politely as they walked into the room. The class snickered as Uraraka instantly went in for a hug. It was less tense than Midoriya had been expecting. 13 chatted pleasantly with the Cinnamon Bun Squad, Uraraka, Kirishima, Mina, Izuku, Todoroki, and Momo. The others chose to talk somewhat quietly in their own groups. They stayed for around an hour before people started to trickle out. Eventually, at around the hour-and-a-half mark, Izuku decided it was time to leave as well. Wow, that was really nice. Okay, when I get home I have got to work on a step 2 for getting spiritually adopted by them. I guess I still forget sometimes that heroes can be amazing after everything within decor. I wonder if they'll still like me after the reveal. Izuku looked at the counter on his phone. Only 22 more people to go. Mine to Minoru, a sad excuse for a person. After his father put Midoriya in a holding cell because of his mom and the green-haired boy found out that the younger Minta was in UA, Midoriya had been watching the creepy student. Sadly, Midoriya's worries had been confirmed after witnessing multiple attacks by Minta on female students. That perv. I hate him. At that moment, Present Mike entered the classroom, effectively breaking Midoriya from his thoughts. Oh, it's time for English already. Huh, can I get a hello? Present Mike screamed as he walked to the blackboard. Midoriya watched as all of the class yelled the greeting back. Their pronunciation horrific. Probably got bored of past Mike's shenanigans. They do have to live with dad number 3 after all. Seems funny that Aizawa hates loud noises even more than Shinszo does, but he married the man. Midoriya, Shinszo, let me guess, you've already done the work. Yamada-sensei asked. Once the loud teacher and Nezu realized that Midoriya and his sib from another crib were fluent in English, they started to get their homework ahead of time. They were supposed to do all of their after-school work during class, but since it was far too easy for them, they just did it when they were bored. That meant that English became a study hall for Shinszo and a time for Midoriya to do vigilante stuff, just like he was doing now. It was wonderful for him because it meant that he didn't have to do his work around Tsukachi, even if it was moving a bit slower than normal. Yep, Midoriya replied. Shinszo had settled for just a nod. Great, I expect you to give it to me before class is over. Present Mike turned away from the duo and faced the rest of the class. Now, who can tell me the time and date is in English? Tuning out the chatter, Midoriya started to think. Okie dokie, I think I have enough evidence to put the other Minta in jail. Yeah, go me. Midoriya grabbed his phone and started to organize all of the clips of videos and even a few statements from his classmates into section. Midoriya was very surprised at how trusting the general education girls were to a random hero course guy. But what works works. I don't blame them for trying to get back at that pervy grape motherfucker. Alright, if this isn't enough then I am not doing my job very well. Time to send it to the dad chat. The chat for ghosts who smile back. Apparition, 038V, P0. Apparition, taught us some info about a perv that should rot in jail. Maybe they should get his dad to arrest him. Nah, I trust Tsukachi more. And I hate the elder Minta. Satisfied, Midoriya looked up just in time to see Aizawa barge into the room. Aizawa, what are you doing here? Present Mike asked as Aizawa stalked towards him. Shinszo and Midoriya looked at each other and both shrugged. I have no idea what's going on here. With Yamada still looking confused, Aizawa grabbed a piece of paper and a pen. He then started to write. And whatever he wrote caused Present Mike to gasp. At that exact moment, Midoriya's phone started to ring. Show yourself from Frozen 2 blasting from its tiny speakers. Why is Salty calling me? Midoriya, why is your phone interrupting class? If you want or need to answer it, put it on speaker. Aizawa glared at the young boy and Midoriya frowned. Are you sure? I would hate to be annoying to whatever you obviously have to do. A glare. Okay, to be fair, you interrupted class first, but sure. Midoriya clicked accept and put the phone on speaker. Congratulations. Tsukachi's voice filtered through the speakers, and Izuku watched Aizawa's eyes widen. You reached 100,000 arrests. Now, honor your agreement and tell me who you are. Oh god, was mine to my 100,000th arrest? I had no idea. Oops. The class all looked on in pure shock, jaws on the floor. Tsukachi, are you calling Apparition's phone? Are you sure you got the right number? Aizawa gathered his thoughts and walked up to Midoriya's desk. Aizawa, what are you doing there? Why are you with Apparition? Better question, who is he? Tsukachi sounded more and more confused, while Aizawa looked more and more angry. Okay, I can explain. Midoriya spoke for the first time. Everyone waited in silence. They really wanted to know what he was going to say, especially the people who had no idea what was going on. So, yes, Midoriya Izuku, am Apparition, and Aizawa had barged into my classroom, so that's why he's here. Shinszo started to shake with laughter in their seat. Izuku watched smugly as the two men started yelling. You're Apparition. You're a child. You've been living in my house. You're my kid's best friend. Wait, why are they laughing? Hitoshi, you knew. At that point the rest of the class joined in too. He's our kid. 100,000 arrests. You've been right under our noses this whole time. I can't believe you've been hacking into government databases since you were 11. He's been what? Oh my god. But you're quirkless. You were the one that gave the info on Endeavor. You turned in my dad. Oh shit, you messed up. No, thank you so much Izuku, you're my hero. What? At that point Izuku was just watching as everything played out. Todoroki was almost crying and looking at him as if he was Jesus. Hitoshi was on the floor with laughter. Aizawa looked like his brain had exploded and was simply staring at him, mouth open. Tsukachi was rambling on the phone. Mike had passed out, and the rest of the class was screaming. Finally, Aizawa pressed the end call button on Midoriya's phone and yelled quiet. Once everybody had shut up, Aizawa motioned towards Midoriya and Shinszo. You two, Nezu's office. Let's go. With that, Aizawa left the room. Midoriya slowly followed him, Shinszo by his back. I can feel everyone's gaze on me. If I had realized Salty would call me then I would have waited until after school to send him Minta's information. Soon the whole school will know. I made a mistake. Nezu didn't even blink when Aizawa slammed open his door. Instead, all he did was begin to speak. Welcome Aizawa. What can I do for you? In this moment, Midoriya and Shinszo sneaked into the room, both trying to mesh into the wall. You knew, didn't you? Aizawa accused. I think Nezu's going to die. Then me. Shinszo will be the only one alive after this is all over. I know many things. You'll have to be more specific. Don't antagonize the angry hero. Midoriya's Apparition. Aizawa spit out. I see he reached 100,000 arrests then. Congratulations Izuku. Though, I am surprised that he didn't give it away before now. He did always act very suspicious. Nezu replied calmly. I feel so offended right now. Then why did you decide to keep that from me? Aizawa demanded. I saw no reason to tell you. Midoriya would tell you eventually. And he has. It all worked out. Plus, some of those arrests would be impossible if I hadn't taught him some hacking tips. Nezu sipped a cup of tea that had appeared out of nowhere. Fine. Aizawa finally turned to face the two students. Hitoshi, why did you keep this from me? Shinszo looked torn and worried, so Midoriya stepped in. Dadzawa, this isn't their fault. I think you're overreacting. Aizawa's gaze shifted to him, and it was murderous. I'm Apparition, surprise. That doesn't change anything. We are still the same people. You just got an insight that surprised you. Calm down. Eraserhead sighed. I see the resemblance now. The fire went out of his eyes and his posture got more relaxed. I suppose you are right. Nothing has truly changed. However, if you think that you'll get special treatment, then you have another thing coming. Of course not. Crisis averted. I know my sibling will get all the doting anyway. There's another one? Aizawa asked. Midoriya did jazz hands towards Shinszo and Aizawa sighed again. Why is Hitoshi your sibling? Because you're our dad. Dadzawa's eyes widened and Midoriya grabbed Shinso's arm. Well, this has been fun and all, but we have a class to get to. Bye Dad 2, bye Dad 4. Midoriya rushed out of the room while pulling Shinszo behind him. Dad 4 was heard from the principal's room before the door shut. Both Shinszo and Midoriya started to snicker. Well, I think that went well. Midoriya commented and Shinszo burst into laughter. That was so much better than I thought it would be. I'm so glad I witnessed it. You just talked Dad out of murdering us. I've only ever seen my other dad do that before. I'm just really glad it worked, Midoriya stated. But I do think that was comedy gold. I think Salty's in shock though. I mean, he's been living with Apparition for the past week. Imagine how that must feel. This was great. Midoriya and Shinszo meandered down the hallway. There were no students there, so they just kept talking about everyone's reactions. Sadly, they forgot about class, but were reminded when the bell rang. Shit, we've got to run. Midoriya raced off with Shinszo hot on his trail. I really can't afford to be very late. If I am, I might not be able to stop Dadzawa from killing me. You did well on Thursday. You guys handled villains well even though it was only your second week at UA. Aizawa stood at the front of the room, pretending that the reveal hadn't happened less than 20 minutes ago. Everyone else was doing the same thing, not wanting to get on Aizawa's bad side. However, your troubles aren't over. Good feelings, gone. As class president, I feel obligated to ask what you mean by that. Ida stood up from his chair and waved his arms like a robot. The sports festival is coming. I feel like he wanted us to worry. He is so mean sometimes. Hold up. Shinszo started from the back row. Shouldn't that be cancelled? Because of, the villain attack that just happened? Many students nodded in agreement. UA, and by UA I mean Nezu, decided that, because of said villain attack, we needed to look stronger than ever. Thus, the sports festival. Aizawa deadpanned from where he was standing. But what about our safety? If villains can get into USJ, who's to say they can't get here? Ashido spoke up from her seat. That's a valid question. However, there will be so many heroes there and security has been upped, so it would be stupid for a villain to even try to wreak havoc during it. As Aizawa finished his sentence, the bell rang. And Midoriya, just Midoriya, stay after class please. Izuku froze. Shit, what if he's going to tell me I can't talk to Hito-chan anymore? Or that I can't turn in evidence? Or that I'm getting booted from the hero program? Or I'm arrested? Or Midoriya, Apparition. That got Izuku's attention. He looked up to see Aizawa giving him a concerned look from the front of the classroom. Please come here. Midoriya walked up to the front, dread making his body shake. He refused to meet Eraserhead's eyes, and so was surprised when arms wrapped around him. Izuku was expecting many things, but getting hugged by the pro hero wasn't one of them. He shakily wrapped his arms around the teacher. After a few minutes the both pulled away. What was that for? Izuku said wearily. What do you think? We've been looking for Arsuyu for so long and suddenly I find out you were here this whole time. And your mother ... Why didn't you tell us? We would have helped you. And your old school too. Izuku was stunned to see the tears in the corners of his father's eyes. I didn't think you actually cared. What? We've been trying to find you for so long, why would we if we didn't care? What? Because I'm a vigilante. You're an informant. And what you do isn't that illegal, just confusing. I don't get it. I am quirkless. So why would you care? Quirkless people don't. Do you believe that? Do you honestly believe that all quirkless people don't deserve to be cared about? To have a home? Or friends? No, of course not. He's right. Of course he's right. I know you figured it out, so tell me. I don't think I deserve it. The two looked into each other's eyes. Izuku didn't think he'd ever gotten that look of sincere concern from anyone. But there Aizawa was, breaking through that barrier that Izuku had put up at age 11, finally allowing him to see how he truly felt, caring. Of course you deserve it. The Apparition I know is someone who worked for 4 days straight because some woman was being abused, who isn't afraid to take down the number 2 hero, who lived with abusive classmates for years and then went as far as to make sure my child got adopted because they were in need. And the Izuku I know is the one who got into UAS hero course quirkless, who saved his teacher and classmates from a villain attack on the spot, who managed to befriend a group who had closed themselves off in fear of being hurt and gave them compassion. You, not just the anonymous Apparition. Not just any quirkless person, you are a hero and you deserve everything. But Tears had begun to slide silently down his face. I don't you get it. What do you mean I deserve this? I'm just a waste of space. My mom knew the truth. The kids I grew up with knew it. Endeavor knew it. I'm nothing. You can't just say that. You're not a waste, kid. Aizawa looked confused and sad as he watched the kid he'd subconsciously learned to love like a son break down. Think of all the people you've saved. You've completed 100,000 arrests for God's sake. You deserve to be saved just as much as everyone else, and I'm so sorry we weren't able to show you that sooner. The two hugged and stayed that way, crying, for a few minutes before Izuku composed himself. We should go back to Salty's house and talk about what's going to happen next. You're right, come on. The two made their way off school grounds, ignoring the soft, understanding looks of the teachers, and walked in silence. After about 15 minutes they were both sitting comfortably in Tsukachi's living room. He was still on the way to join them, having gotten stuck in traffic, but luckily Izuku had a key. I don't know why this whole thing is so hard to process. I mean, I knew it was going to happen obviously. I guess I didn't realize they actually cared too. It's still weird to think about the caring. Even after all this time. I mean, I knew Salty cared about me as Izuku, but I dunno, it didn't click. When a somewhat distraught and shaken Tsukachi entered the room, his eyes instantly found Izuku and the boy was wrapped in a tight hug. Here we go again. I can't believe you. Oh no, maybe I was wrong. Maybe Aizawa only cared because of Hito-chan and they're mad at me and it was all fake and he doesn't want me anymore and they hate me shit. What do I do? Izuku, calm down. Hey, it's okay. SHHH, it's okay. Breath with me, that's it. Deep in, deep out, that's good. I'm not mad at you. I'm just this is a really big deal and I'm hurt you didn't tell us about what was going on with you. Me and Aizawa care a lot about you and want you to be safe, and we're so glad you're here with us. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm sorry I shouldn't have freaked out like that. I'm just not used to. You're not used to having people genuinely care about you. We get it, and it's okay. Whatever your reason for not telling us was, it's okay now. I was so scared that you'd find out that I was quirkless and decide you didn't want to accept info from me, or that you wouldn't want me around or would leave me like. Anyway, he wiped a tear from his cheek. I'm just glad I was wrong. Look, it doesn't matter if you're freaking All Might. You save people every day, literally. And as heroes and police officers, it's our job to turn in criminals. We never would have turned you away. Aizawa tapped in with a hand on Tsukachi's shoulder. And we get that it's hard for you to trust us, of course it is. But try to believe me when I tell you that we love you like our kid, Apparition or Izuku, and we just want you to be safe. Midoriya burst into tears and sank into the floor with Salty following him down. Aizawa stood on the side and ruffled Midoriya's hair. This has been the best day ever. Midoriya was sitting in his room when his phone started to ring. Huo, I'm outside your house. Oh, Hito-chan. The call ended. Okay then. Midoriya carefully put his laptop down and moseyed towards the door. Right before he got there, he poked his head into the living room. Hey, I'm gonna go hang out with my sib. Aizawa nodded, and then started sputtering when what Midoriya said caught up with him. The boy laughed. See ya, dads. Gotta love embarrassing your parental figures. It's so much better in real life. Midoriya opened the door to see Hitoshi standing on the porch. Hey, what are you doing here? I thought I'd check in, see how you are, Shinszo lazily replied before hopping down the steps. You care. I feel so loved. Midoriya laughed and jogged until the two UA students were side by side. I'm doing pretty good. I've already replaced all of Tsukachi's window locks with robotic ones. Robotic window latches? Shinszo asked, looking slightly concerned. Yep, I got Hatsume to make them for me. All I have to do is log into an app and press a few buttons for them to open with me. It's beautiful. Midoriya giggled and started to skip beside Shinszo. Midoriya then began to speak again after a short pause. So, where are we going? You'll see, Shinszo answered. The two friends kept walking for about 5 minutes, Midoriya being totally confused. Then, suddenly, he saw a couple buildings that he recognized. Wait, are we going to? Trying to get a better idea of where they were, the hacker kept a sharp eye for any other identifying features he recognized. Then, suddenly, he saw a little clump of trees that were very familiar. Hito-chan. This is the park where we met. Midoriya grinned up at his friend. Yeah, I felt that everything's come full circle now. You're in a better place, I'm in a better place, it just seemed right. Shinszo rubbed their head nervously and smiled. I guess you're right. You know, this could be qualified as very romantic. Shinszo choked on air. But I know you have the hots for Pikachu, so. Midoriya squawked and ducked as Shinszo tried to whack the boy on the head. All right. Still, thanks. I honestly forgot this place existed. No problem. They kept walking in silence until Midoriya spotted a few familiar people behind a few trees. Hito-chan, why are some of our classmates here? Midoriya questioned, making eye contact with Todoroki. I invited them. I felt that it would be a fun get-together. Shinszo replied, looking sheepish. Midoriya launched himself and hugged his friend. You are so sweet. Then he spotted Kaminari. Wait, did you just do this as an excuse to talk to Kaminari without asking him out? Shinszo's face turned red. No, I was just trying to be nice to you. Shut up, Midoriya snickered. Finally, the two siblings entered the open field where their friends were waiting for them. Hello Shinszo, Midoriya. Todoroki greeted from where he was sprawled out on the grass. Hi Todoroki, Midoriya chirped. When the group heard Midoriya's voice, they made their way over to where he was. Midoriya, Shinszo, glad you could come. Yaoyorozu smiled and hugged the smaller of the two. I literally put this all together. Why wouldn't I be here? Shinszo spoke up and Momo blushed. Oops. The group, except for Todoroki, laughed and most joined the before-mentioned student on the ground. Momo had already took it upon herself to produce a bunch of soft picnic blankets, and the weather was beautiful. All in all, life felt pretty good. Wait, is that who? OMG Hito-chan, look. Shinszo gave him a confused look as he pointed to a couple on a bench. Am I supposed to know who that is? Oh right, you haven't met. Hang on. The group of friends watched as Izuku stood up and started waving. Hey, Viper, over here. Hi, Midoriya shouted and someone on the bench he had pointed to looked up. Wait, is that who I think it is? Hey, abusive mom kid. It's been a while. Viper shouted back and stood up. He motioned for his girlfriend, to stand up and they quickly made their way towards Midoriya. Wait, what? Is he talking to you? What does he mean by that? Is everything okay? Both Viper and Izuku realized their mistake and winced a little. Midoriya made quick work of settling the group though. Guys, calm down. Everything is fine. This is the friend of mine that was at the USJ, the one from my time in holding. We met right before my mom was arrested for being the worst. And kinda never formally introduced ourselves, I guess. Wait, he was at the USJ. But only villains were at the USJ. Todoroki commented. Viper and Midoriya flinched again, but both decided to ignore the question. Well, I should probably introduce myself. I'm Hiro Nato, reformed villain, and this is my girlfriend Tamasi Rene. He held out a hand to Izuku who gladly took it. Midoriya Izuku, although you may know me as the hero Apparition. Midoriya added the last part quietly, remembering how he was the one that put Viper in prison in the first place. That was you. Oh man, how did I not see that coming? That's like anime tropes 101. I gotta say though, while you did put me in jail, you're also the reason my life got turned around, so thanks for that. I wouldn't be here without you, and I never would have met Rene. Viper smiled sappily at his girlfriend and she smiled back. Then Hiro paused. Just checking, you're not like, in the foster system, are you? Izuku laughed at Shinzo's groan. No, but I do have a 6th dad slot if you want it. The rest of the group looked very confused. Yeah man. You got it. Viper looked around and saw that everyone else in the group looked left out. Well, we should probably go. See you around. Yeah, I'll text you. Midoriya waved and the two walked away. You have an interesting group of acquaintances, Kaminari said. The rest of the group nodded in agreement. Yeah. Midoriya laughed sheepishly and flopped on the ground. Did you meet him as Apparition? Todoroki asked. Yeah, I put him in jail for a bit, Midoriya answered while staring at the sky. I still can't believe you're Apparition. Takoyami mentioned. I heard about you in the Endeavor trial. It's insane that you put that terrible hero behind bars. No offense, Todoroki. None taken. Todoroki replied. Oh, you have no idea the amount of good Midoriya has done. He's even helped me. Shinszo commented. Wow, you're amazing, Midoriya. Yaoyorozu spoke up and Izuku blushed. Thank you. Midoriya smiled and the rest of the group did the same. Hey Izuku, I'll be right back. Izuku watched as Hitoshi got up and went over to where Kaminari was sitting before saying something and leading him away. Oh, romance, Midoriya shouted, earning some snickers and a very flustered fuck off. The day went pretty calmly after that. There was lots of story sharing, such as Hitoshi puppy dog easing Aizawa into adopting 6 more cats, Kaminari asking Hitoshi out and them finally getting together, Todoroki living with his sister, and many more. Finally, the sky turned dark and the group had to split ways. So, did you enjoy yourself? Shinszo asked, sounding pretty pleased. Yeah, I really did. You know, I don't think I've ever been this happy. Okay, sadly the chapter is over. And if you enjoyed the video, just leave a like and subscribe with post notification. So when the next chapter is ready, you will be notified. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye.